it stops, no one knows. We're going head into the unknown. Na, 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 na.
Hello, 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 everybody. Happy Monday. It's fucking Monday. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys for being here. Welcome back to Criminality, or if this is your first time here, welcome to Criminality. Today we are going to be discussing the Delphi trial. No surprise, no surprise, no surprise. T, are you going to contact the court reporter to make sure they capitalize the T in criminality? I don't even want to be in the fucking transcripts. But anyway. Thank you guys for being here. I had planned on doing a live over the weekend. Honestly, I just was like, you know what? I'm just going to rest. I'm going to try to catch up on life because, so we're going to talk a little bit about Saturday today, but it sounds just from listening to people that were inside the courtroom that essentially most of Saturday was the jury watching the videos of Richard Allen while he was being transported around the prison. So most of the live coverage after the trial on Saturday was like reactions to the video, like juror reactions to the video, which is interesting, but it's very open for interpretation. So I'm not going to go through all of that kind of stuff. Essentially, we if you've been with this channel for any amount of time, we've talked about how bad the treatment of Richard Allen has been behind bars, the fact that he was a pretrial detainee. So we're not going to go too far into that stuff. We'll talk about like Doug Carter, who was like a topic for like a hot minute. And then mostly we're going to focus on everything from today. So just everybody who is consistently here, just once, thank you guys for being here. But two, we're doing an afternoon one today. Tomorrow we're going to be back to the early morning one where we'll cover, even if we're able to get through everything from today's, we're still going to just talk more. We'll just talk more in depth about the case or about anything that you guys want to talk about while we still go through updates for tomorrow. And then we're going to get back like on that same schedule of the morning lives throughout the rest of this week. There is a rumor going around that there's a good possibility the defense is going to rest, maybe even by Wednesday. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess it's possible. I would say probably by the end of the week we may see them rest, which kind of goes along with the theory of or the conversations of that they didn't, because they can't bring the third party in, they don't need the additional week of testimony on their behalf, for the defense side. So I would say they probably would rest by the end of this week. For anybody who was wondering, I did cancel my trip to Indiana. I just, with everything going on, I've talked to you guys about this, like everything going on in my life with my mom and my kids, and then just not feeling good. And then now the tiny human has had an ear infection all weekend. Yeah, I had to actually go pick him up from school early today. So it was for whatever reason, me going back and forth about going, I think the decision was kind of made when I was like, I can't even bring myself to go get ready to go. Like I don't even have the energy or the capacity to do that. So I canceled the trip to Indiana. I know that there's part of me that regrets it because I'm like, I have serious FOMO. Like I want to be sitting there and I want to be watching this firsthand. But ultimately it was the right choice for me, my family, and it is. And people are, well, I would have been able to get into the courtroom, which was a big deal to me. And so I would have been able to get in, but it's tough because I always tell you guys, like, I'm a mom before I'm anything. And then I'm a wife and I'm a daughter. So as much as like, I know this is a once in a lifetime kind of thing, I also know that they're more important. So, and then I don't even know, like I said, I don't even know how I would have even functioned. And I don't even think anybody would have wanted me sitting in the courtroom, even though I'm probably not contagious. Like, you imagine people would be like, what the hell? Why she keeps coughing or sneezing or she sounds like shit. It is what it is. And then also, I to look on the bright side of things, I thought I get to spend the time with you guys, that, we get to like dive like into the situation more and go through the testimony and see what's going on. We get to do that more if I wasn't sitting in the courtroom, because we've got like amazing people that are sitting in the courtroom and coming back and reporting on it. I would rather be able to do this with you guys than sit there all day, take notes along with 50 other people, or 24 other people, I should say, and just come back and report on the notes. I would prefer this side of it. So I'm like, okay, but I think the decision was kind of just made for me. So that is what it is. Let me say hi to you guys in chat, and then we're going to get started. Like I said, we'll touch on the stuff from Saturday, but we're going to spend most of our time talking about what's going on in court today, because there is some shenanigans happening on the mainstream media side of bullshit. So let me say hi to you guys, and we'll get going. Hi, Dragonfly Lady. Yeah, selfishly, I'm glad that you can come on and stream with all of us. See, thank you. Yeah, see, I appreciate that. You come home with carpal tunnel. Well, was actually considering, like, because I had people I was going to be there with, that if I'm there with them, then one of us doesn't take notes. One of us just like takes notes on observation. So that way, when we would go through the notes, it would make more sense. Like, I don't know why everybody's taking the exact same notes. Like, somebody should be paying attention to what's happening in the courtroom, and then somebody should be like writing notes. Like, so we can have both. But it's tough. Not everybody always wants to work together on, delivering the information. So, and the credentialed media doesn't want anybody who's not credentialed to be looking at the exhibits. Hey, baby fish mouth. Let's see. Enjoying your visualization, is that from Canva. So it depends on which one. I use a little bit of everything. If you're talking about from the trial, it is the Canva one, and I will bring that back up. I can show you guys where the heck I put it. It is still behind, but it will obviously get caught up at some point. Most of the note taking from the note takers is happening by Sleuthy at this point. So just make sure you guys, and I don't even know if she knows we're live. Somebody should probably let her know that we're here. Otherwise, she's going to be like coming in like an hour later, and she'll be like, what the hell? Nobody told me. This particular one for the trial is on Canva. If you're talking about the overall big one, which does also include the stuff from Canva, I know it gets kind of confusing, where everything to do with the case is on Prezi, and I'll show you guys that too. So these are all shareable links that you guys have access to. This is not like special to me. It's like it's for me just as much as it's for all of you. So I'll show you this one. So the big one is on Prezi, but I just want to show you guys this real quick, and then I'll keep going through chat real quick. Maybe I'll show you this. Hey, Percocent. I was in HTC's live, but can't handle the chat. I went there the other day too, and yeah, the people are they were getting kind of mean, but I don't hold that against her. Hi, C-Dub. Yeah, there's lots of sleuths. Hey, Richard. Hey, Gilletta. What's up, Lorraine? Hey, Angie, baby. Angie, baby. Okay. So this one is on Prezi, but this also includes, so if you go like to, we'll just go to Richard Allen. So it has like the links for all the court documents. And if you guys are familiar with All Eyes on Delphi's channel, she goes by All Eyes now. She's put together an amazing presentation of the court documents. So it literally just says, you guys can't even fucking see this. I'm showing you guys stuff and you can't see it. Jesus criminy. All right, hold on. Let me figure out what the fuck I'm doing with my life. Oh, shit, that was funny. I normally just have everything up on the screen. So, okay. So let me go back and let's start over. This presentation for the testimony and everybody's, like all the questions, the redirect, all of this, who's doing what for the attorneys. This whole thing is on Canva. But the entire case presentation is on Prezi. This thing right here. This is on Prezi. If you go in and you just go to Google and you put in Delphi Prezi, Prezi, this will come up. You'll be able to access it. It gives you the most current version. So if you go here, like to the persons of interest, the main one obviously being Richard Allen right now, since that's the trial we're at. Like I was saying, I'm repeating myself at this point, but I wanted to be able to see you, so you guys. No, you do not, Joanna. You do not have to have Canva to be able to access it. So All Eyes on Delphi has put together an amazing presentation for all of the court documents. So I just have a link straight to her court documents right here. So if you go to the Prezi, you just can go there, and here you see that they're just hyperlinks that take you wherever you need to go. So this is every court document that there is. So the hyperlink just takes you straight to it. All the hearing transcripts that we've requested so far, everything that we have, there's hyperlinks that'll take you to every single court document. And then don't go back. Thank you. And then trial testimony, same thing. So here's all the trial notes from testimony. This will take you directly to the Canva. So you'll have even if I am showing you guys something different, it's all hooked up to the Prezi regardless. So all the court documents, all the testimony, just about anything you can think of is in here. Like all the transcripts, the pool videos where he's at the pool house. I have more to put in here too. Is then here's all your other persons of interest, all of your whatever. So I mean, it's like that. Everything is in here. This tab is not complete. I had started it and never finished it. So I do need to go back and finish this one. It's just putting in any interview that has like the families in it. So there's certain things that I did not complete. Family interviews being one of them, and law enforcement. That was the other big one I still needed to complete. So I have here's all the press conferences. You want all the press conferences? Then they're right here. And but I was going through and adding in like each person. I have not finished this. So like there's two big sections, actually three. There's three big sections of the Prezi that still need to be completed. See, like I don't have anything in here yet. If you guys cannot find this, I will share it right now. This is the most up-to-date one. So, but this is like, even though this is all together and it is one giant resource, this is not just all of my work. All Eyes is in here. Yellow Jacket's got stuff in here. Sleuthy Goosey's got stuff in here, because they've all gone through and done. They've all gone through and done such amazing work putting timelines together, and so I mean, it's even though I put it in here, it's not all just me. So I just want you guys to understand that. So like, here's the other big one that I still need to finish is the timeline. So I've got certain aspects that are done and then not done. So that's the third big thing I still need to finish. So this is, like I said, even if I'm showing you something from Canva like this, it's still included in this because that's my end all be all of where all of my Delphi stuff is. Okay. So, but there's, I mean, let's see. All the stuff about all the timelines when it comes to all the leaks and the information about the leaks. The thumb drive map. So if anybody wanted copies of the thumb drive map that was leaked from Brandon Woodhouse, it's here. This is all the stuff that they had talked about. The clothing leak, that's all here. The F-tree situation, that's all there. And then there's tons. If you just want to learn more about the family dynamics, like here's Libby. Here's just photos of Libby. Here's her mom. and then her mom's family. So if you want, here's Derek. You want to know what Derek looks like? There he is. This is Derek's family. So you've got the Patties, you've got the Germans, his social media posts, which are very few. So he doesn't really have any. So that's Derek's, and then we go to, let's go back in here. It just keeps going. So like here's Tara's, and then here's Tara's ex-husband, here's Tara's wife, here's Tara's social media posts. So it's supposed to be a huge resource that I once again have not finished, even though it is public already. There are, if you go to places that are empty, it's just because I haven't completed it yet. And then you do the same thing under Abby. So you have, and then you have the girls' social media accounts. So those are there with the links. This is Abby's dad's account. So there's not tons of info on him, but that's Abby's dad. Here's Abby's photos. And then obviously we all know Anna Williams. So then here's Anna. Here's Anna's family, sister, dad, mom, stepdad, stepbrother, the big one. This is shared. Yeah, this is, you guys can share this wherever you want to. So here's like Erskine. Here's all, if you guys are looking for all the Erskine screenshots from social media, it's there. So like I said, there was a few big places that I was not able to complete yet. You want family tree. Here's family tree for Libby. Here's family tree for Abby. So timeline, law enforcement, and family interviews, I would say, are probably the three biggest categories that I still need to go back and finish. All right, we got a special guest. You guys ready? You guys ready for our special guest? The beautiful Melvin.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
This has been a kind of emotional day, guys.
Has it? Let me get rid of this.
Yeah, just a lot of I don't want to cry, but it's just been
Don't cry. I'm gonna end up
not
crying
here.
if you cry.
That's one. Yeah, we miss you. We miss not having you here. But I'm gonna tell you, this is like, how you've been fighting every single day for justice for these girls. And I never thought it'd get down to, you make all these efforts to get here, and to have line sitters and pay somebody to sit in line at 1 o'clock in the morning, and you get in, and still it's cutthroat to where you might get in for the morning, but you come out even 15 minutes before it's lunchtime, and there's already more people than they'll allow in, and you don't get in, and
Is that what happened
Nancy.
today?
Yeah. There was a lot of line cutting at lunchtime. So there are some YouTubers that think because they're with two or three people, one person gets in line and they just put them in line with themselves. So it puts more people back. There were at least 6 people that cut in line today, which caused all of us not to get in when they should have been at the end. And Nancy, yeah, they were going to let 2 more people in after lunch, and the murder sheet. They had one person standing in line, but then the husband came and cut. I mean, essentially, and so they had one more person they were going to let, or 2 more people they're going to let in, and it was him. But Nancy was at the front, so it should have been her and then him. And so Nancy let him go ahead, and then she was letting me come in place of her, which, I mean, I know it was emotional because, I know people are like, oh, you're a baby. No, but your heart and soul, we've been fighting in this case for so long. And, it was hard. I mean, she gave up her spot for me, and she kind of shed a tear. I did too, because I could see how much it hurts because, I mean, we've been trying to see this case through for all these years. We've invested so much time, so much heart in this. And I know you're not going to get in, but we've done everything we can to try. And then Anya just went ahead. And and she's like, and the police said, well, did you mean for her? And she said, no, she was going to give it to me. But Kevin and Anya were in there. And so they were going to get her out. And then Anthony Greeno had happened to come out. So when he went out, they didn't have to come out. But then Nancy did give me her spot in, which, I was like, not that I deserve it over her, but, it was, I knew that Brad Weber was going to be testifying, and I really wanted to be there for that part. So there's just a lot of stuff that went on even after court. A lot of high energy people in each other's faces. The line situation is getting worse, and I don't know. I mean, like we don't need that. We don't need all that mess. But we need to focus on these girls. And there was just a lot of this after lunch, the testimony just made you start to really just start to think about how hard that both sides are working to bring a white van into the picture as like the breaking point of guilty or innocent. And it's I mean, it was very clear, and we can go over that today. And I'm sure you've probably, look what time it is. You have more information now, than I could tell you what you have. Because I don't, you got the news, you got people reporting from the news. So
Wait, so you got in for the morning, but did not back in for the afternoon?
No, I got in for both.
Okay.
And I wouldn't have been able to. I wouldn't have Nancy. I mean, she was next, and she gave up her spot to Kevin, and then they had another one, and it was going to be her, and then I guess Anya thought that she was pointing to me, but I was right behind Anya, and Anya just went right in with Kevin, and really. So it ended up working out okay because I was supposed to go in. They were going to go get Anya and have her bring her back out.
Which just goes to everything that's happening. It's just so disorganized. This is just, it's just frustrating. And I understand it. It's frustrating. Oh, we lost Julie. So, okay. So Julie was in for morning and the afternoon. I have heard some grumblings from a couple other people who were there today that the line situation is just out of control at this point. I don't know. There you go. I hear you. Oh, shit. She's like, you shitting me? And then she bounces. Yeah, I'll ask her. Let's ask her that.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay. No, you're okay. No, so was Andrea able to get in?
Oh, yeah. Listen, we all, as far as me and Nancy and Shab and Lana, we all decided that, like, and Jenny, well, I don't know if I'm supposed to, I'll just say Jenny, our friend Jenny.
Yeah.
We all decided we're going to make sure those ladies get in, that Andrea and Lawyer Lee get in. And I don't know. Yeah, Lawyer Lee did get in because Jenny gave her spot up to Lawyer Lee. She gave her spot up to her. Yeah, I mean, Lawyer Lee was not going to get in. And she gave her spot up. Jenny, do you want to say hi?
Come on, who's creeping around over there?
No, that's
Hi, Jenny.
I gave Laura Lee my seat.
Oh, that's so kind of you.
Well, it has to be. It has to be that way because of everybody else there. We got to have Laura Lee and Andrea in there.
There's very little people with heart. There's people that don't have that compassion. It's kind of cutthroat, and it's like, there was a lady that ended up. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, what'd you say? Sorry.
Hidden Truth.
Oh, okay. Oh, I just found out who our neighbor is. Yeah. The lady that had.
She's the one that caused problems.
I won't say too much. I don't want to be one of these.
Okay.
Posters on that.
What happened today? Let's get into what happened today in court, and tell us your what you observed.
Okay, so the first person that came on, is it Polly Westcott? You probably know the name. She was a neuropsychologist who assessed Richard Allen. She's from
Hmm.
Carmel, Indiana. She was one of these people, very informative, beautiful lady, had her hair all tied back, nice and thin, beautiful little suit with the skirt, kind of like librarian meets, physician, kind of like she was very put together. She was well spoken, and she was very had a very long narrative when she answered questions, so that made it difficult to just try to keep up with every single thing that she was saying. I saw a lot of people frantically trying to write. I mean, at one point I was trying to ask Andrea, like, what'd she say, and she's like, wait a second, I'm like, okay, because she's a better reporter than I am. So yeah, and she kind of talked fast, so you had to so basically, she said she deals with two separate sections, which is forensic examination for forensic psychology and neuropsychology. Basically, the forensics is like it's basically a special field of the neuropsychology where the people have mental health issues and they have to look at like if they're toxic, their toxic thinking, their emotional component, and that there's something else connected to um, what I think as she said was like if they committed a crime, they get into the forensics of it. The other thing was neuro, which is they bridge the gap between brain control center and how it controls behavior.
Okay.
So they now I don't tell me why they've asked this, because I haven't even had literally I have not had a chance to talk to anybody about this. I just got home and I'm right here. They said, so is with your forensic work, how much do you charge? Now I know she charges $4.50 an hour.
That's what the defense is
I'm
paying
kind
her.
of
So
like, yeah, the Rosie's asking her that, like, so
yeah,
yeah,
because the state's
why
going to ask
I
her
was,
anyway. So somebody's
the
going to
state's gonna
ask her
ask
anyway.
her.
So typically they'll just put it out there. So we are on a bit of a delay. So if I don't speak for a minute, just FYI, just hold on. Um, hold on. Who's frozen?
Am I frozen?
But so we have obviously we all know now that the Delphi internet situation likes to come and go. But so and I am on a bit of a delay. So if there's a little bit of overlap, I'm going to try my best to kind of just wait that out. But yeah, so the defense asks her like how much do you get paid to to deliver testimony, your expertise, to go in and do the evaluations, and it says 450 dollars an hour. So that's what the defense is paying her. To me, that's never a big deal. They all get paid. All the experts get paid. I don't
Yeah.
know what matter.
So he just said, hey, tell us, what you've worked on. She said she's worked on criminal cases, like mental health issues. If a person commits a crime and they have mental health issues or cognitive issues where they can't participate in the testimony, then they get involved in these circumstances. Especially like with the cognitive issues when they're like during like interrogation kind of stuff. And she said she works. He asked, "Do you work primarily for the prosecution or the defense or what?" She says, "Actually, I work for both. Both. I've been asked to testify." Um, I didn't get the separate number, but she said basically 77 times she's been involved in cases, but I don't think that's the number of times she had to testify, which is like that's how much she's done. Um, she said that she recently worked with a prosecution 2 months ago, because that was like the last time there was a mental health on mental health concepts and look at records to see if someone is faking mental health issues. So they started to get into the faking part of it. Um, she said she has worked with prisoners. Then he asked, okay, so when did you start working with people that like committing crimes or prisoners or something like that? And she says, I worked with prisoners, and it started when I was in college. I worked at the Wabash Valley Hospital. We would treat prisoners, we would do evaluations, and we would get them stable. And then we would end up sending them, once they were stable, we would send them back to the prison. She said she worked in some women's prisons. She testified for various mental. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't read that part. Various mental issues. She was asked to evaluate a person going to trial. She's worked with the police department for crisis intervention. people that have mental health disorders and cognitive dysfunction, and works to educate various officers about mental health issues, especially like when a person's committing a crime and they're schizo or whatever mental health. I mean, look, we have increasing crime, and that's got to be related somehow up here. She said that for 12 years she did some contracting of psychology with Indiana State Police. Rosie handed her a document to look at and said, "Can you look this over? Do you recognize this?" She said, "Yes, it's my CV." And on there, he did point out that she had published articles. So like she's well read. Has been involved in research, so she has a background. As he asked, what did she do on a daily basis? So she said, in general clinical practice, I see patients in the office for therapy. What's going on with their behavior, how their brain and their mental health. Brain and mental health disorders, and she also gets referrals from other physicians to evaluate patients. She said that 50% of her work is outside practice for forensic work, to assess for for I think it says a judge or law enforcement, or I can't. I'm sorry, I can't read
Yeah.
that.
No, that's what it is. It's for a judge or law enforcement, so that
Okay.
they can
Good.
they have
Good.
her
So,
come in with like mental like with incompetence and things like
okay.
that for
Okay, because I was like, a
Mhm.
judge? That doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the judge will hire, because then it's not for the defense, or like Lori Vallow. Do you remember when she was like she was deemed mentally incompetent to stand trial?
I am
Okay.
ignorant. Thank the Lord to these other things. So sorry.
Okay.
This case. This is good. They were asking about like what's the difference, with a psychiatrist and a psychologist, and she's like, psychiatrists go to med school. They typically will prescribe medications. Um, Neuropsychology, they go. The neuropsychologists go through psychology program. They learn the anatomy and all that stuff. They learn the brain function. They do a fellowship for practice. So basically, what it sounded like she was describing was she does have a doctorate degree. It sounded like the difference between physician and kind of nurse practitioner, but she is a clinical, like she is a specialist in her field. So he said, describe the steps that you take in like typically evaluating someone. She said, well, and specifically Richard Allen. She said, well, I was first contacted about Richard Allen's behavior. I think that was was that in May? I have the date later. Sorry, I don't have it right in front of me. And so she would get a mental health history. So she would go through all of the notes that like that Walla made, look at the other notes that maybe any physician documented on him, and get all those things, look at medication history, all that stuff. Then she would do a neuropsychology evaluation. It was brain based, look at how his brain is connecting with his decision making and any kind of illness there. And then she would um offer opening, let me see, I can't read this. Mental health. She would do take an I think I had a mental health instrument or whatever she would use it to evaluate. She would evaluate him. Would have like um I'm not seeing it here, but I know what she said. She said, okay, so she would evaluate him, that like they take a series of instruments, and they have certain tools, and they have several different ones that they use to evaluate, not just like her observations of like the video, of her personal observation, of audios, all that sort of thing, and takes into account Walla and even the prison guards, and including the companions that were outside of his cell. um, it says, did you get to review his circumstances? Yes. On paper and record, basically what I said, before and during incarceration. So they did take an account. She talked to like his wife and family and that sort of thing, and did compare some handwriting, which I think we'll get to. You remember that letter that Richard Allen wrote
You said like
asking for attorneys. So they took that and they compared some later handwriting. Was this information available at the time? She goes, well, I was provided. She said, now I was provided, this is unusual. She said, an enormous amount of information that typically you don't have at your, fingertips, because, this is rare that you have somebody that's not been convicted of a crime in prison, and this whole process of chain of command where he was.
Julie, I'm sorry. There seems to be a situation. I'm gonna have you skip I'm trying not to have you skip around, but there's a situation with some misreporting on on Richard Allen's daughter's testimony.
Okay.
So there's some mainstream media that is saying she said something in this way.
Don't tell me what it is.
I'm not going to tell you what it is. Other mainstream media is reporting that she did it a different way. So if you could just, I know we're skipping ahead, and I apologize to everybody, but like this was one of the things that like has come out like today that is going to cause just chaos on social media.
Okay, let me get you. We're going to go to Brittany. Hang tight.
Yeah, please.
Hang tight, right here. Okay.
And I'm not going to tell you what is being said. So I just want you to go.
I don't want to know what's being said.
Yeah.
Please state your name. Brittany Zapata. She came on at 1:43 p.m. today. How are you related to Richard Allen? He is my father. Who is your mother? Kathy? The cross exam is direct is Andy. So who was your mother? Kathy? Yes. Did you live with both parents? Yes. When did you move out? 2015. Why? For a job. So where do you work now? I work in nursing care. Okay. Did you also go to school during that time? She said, yes. I went to Ball State for a year, and then I went to Indianapolis for 14 months. So how old were you when you left? I was 18 when I went to Ball State. Did your father ever molest you? No. Do you love your father? Yes. Would you ever lie for your father? No. Luttrell does his cross. Did you and your father ever go to the trail? She said there was an objection, and it was sustained. Luttrell then reworded it. Did you and your father ever go to Monon High Bridge? Objection, substance, whatever it is. And then so he reworded it. Luttrell said, well, from the time you went to the Ball State, wait a minute. Let me go back to the bridge thing. I think that was late. I think the more of the bridge stuff is later, but I want to finish what I remember on the bridge thing was, so did you ever, like he said, so did you ever cross the bridge? I think this was later, but I'll tell you now. Did you ever cross the bridge? Yes. He says, so you and your father always went out there and across the bridge. He goes, no, it's only been like once, maybe 2 times in our life, in my life, whatever. So Luttrell says, okay, so from the time you went to Ball State, that they introduced like this, they wanted to introduce these things. Was your father the same as far as hair, weight, anything like that? And there was Auger objected, outside the scope, sustained. Okay, Luttrell says, okay, regarding that appearance of your father, I want to show you 4 photographs. So then they kind of had to meet, and they had to look at these 4 photographs. It's 306, 307, 308, 309. Is this how he looked up until you went to college? Okay. And then Auger says, Your Honor, may we approach? And then they did a sidebar for like 2 minutes, going back there, all that stuff. What is that? Oh, okay. Gosh, where'd you get that? Huh?
So that's the one from his quote unquote confession. This is the one they compare the note you were talking about. I just have it up because I'm going to show you something else, but I didn't want to interrupt I want you to keep going through Brittany because I'm going to show you what mainstream media is reporting about.
Okay.
Brittany.
Okay. So
I just have the screen ready to go. But this is the quote unquote confession he wrote to the warden.
Okay. Okay.
That the doctor talked about in court.
Got you. Okay. So then so they do a 2 minute sidebar, comes back, and Latrell shows these photos. So from 2014 to 2022, Brittany's looking through the photos. Brittany's looking through them. And then actually it was Alger, wasn't it? Alger. Why do I have Alger? Do I have that? Okay, so
Is that
306.
on redirect? Or is this
Well,
on
yeah,
direct?
maybe she was doing the whole thing. I thought it was Andy. I had it back here. I can go back, but Auger is doing redirects. So, oh yeah, she was doing it. Do you know? I think she was doing the whole thing. Sorry about that, guys.
She probably was doing that. Okay.
Oh, okay. See this photo at 30? That it was exhibit 306. Okay, she shows us. Do you know? Do you recognize this photo? Do you know when this was taken? Was this taken? Do you know when this was taken? No. 307. Do you know when this was taken? No. 308. What do you know when this was taken? No. 309. Do you know when this was taken? No. Okay. Okay, I'm going to show you this 306. Do you know if this was taken 2017? You know, that you recognize this photo from 2017? She was like, she kind of just like, yes, but all of them were 2017. 307, 2017, yes. 308, 2017, yes. 309, 2017, yes. She didn't know when they were taken, but she recognized the photos, and I don't know why they asked her about the 2017. It was yes, 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 yes. Okay, then she says, okay, we want to admit 306 to 309. They were admitted over objection. The state's exhibits, I'm going to show you the state's exhibit 315, 316, and 317 photos. Auger says that's outside the scope of direct objection. Goal says, well, I haven't seen these, so how? I'm like, let me well, I haven't seen these. And then Auger says, may we approach? And then Goal says, sure. Then they do a sidebar, and it's Latrell and Auger. And then Goal says, sustained objection. Latrell says, I want to publish to the jury admitted photos 306 through 309. I think those were just different photos of Richard Allen. And I figured they just want to get these pictures of Richard Allen to the jury to try to be like, it's bridge guy kind of stuff. And then so the jury's looking through all the photos of Richard Allen. Auger says that she doesn't have anything further. Judge Gold says, does anyone in the jury have any questions? So the jury questions. There was a sidebar to view questions, which by the way, they always do a sidebar to review the questions so that they're all good with these. Did you visit the High Bridge in your teens? Yes. Did you cross the High Bridge? That's what it was. Yes. Did you cross the High Bridge with your father? I think this is cross, but I have jury questions under here.
Yeah, it could go to the jury questions.
Okay. Were you scared of the bridge? Yeah, yes, of the bridge. She kind of clarified that, like, okay, I think they asked if she was scared, and she goes, well, yes, of the bridge. Okay, so you and your father. This is where Latrell says you and your father frequently cross the bridge. She goes, I only crossed it once or twice. I mean, that was basically the end of that. What are they reporting?
Okay.
What are they saying?
I'm going to show you right now. So WTHR reported that when Brittany was on the stand, Auger said, did your father ever molest you? Brittany said no. Do you love your father? Brittany said no. Would you lie for him? And Brittany said no.
What?
Right. So then Wish, from what I have, they don't even talk about this question. So like, did your father molest you? Brittany said no. Would you lie for him? And Brittany said no. They don't even bring up the do you love your father question. I don't know why Auger.
No.
It doesn't even. Let me just clarify.
They
It doesn't
are
even
wrong.
make sense that Auger would ever ask a question like that
No.
to her client's daughter if she knew the answer would be no. Like, it's just silly. So then Barbara McDonald went on Twitter and said that the answer to the question, do you love your father, was no. She has since retracted that and come to find out that she had gotten the pool notes from the media, and when asked by our own R&M Productions, like, whose notes are these? She got the pool notes from WTHR. who is the
Wrong.
one that's reporting that? Yes. So
I'm
now I'm
telling you,
pulling
she
up.
said she said, did your father ever molest you? No. Do you love your father? Yes. Would you ever lie for him? No. And
Yeah.
those were the same questions. You know, did Richard ever molest you? No. It's same exact answers. Everything was exactly the same. Do you love do you love Richard, your brother? Yes. And would you ever lie for him? No. They identical answers, questions and answers on that.
Yeah, because his sister Jamie, who has also been in court throughout some of the time, did end up testifying and answering, like Julie saying, literally the exact same questions, exact same answers. Yes, no,
She
yes. Or, I
she
mean,
was up there like
no, yes,
she was
no.
literally up there like 3 minutes.
That's how easy it is.
3 minutes. Let me. Do you want me to do her real quick while we're on the relatives?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So just FYI, Oksana, who's been on our channel a few times, was also on another channel earlier and said she was in the courtroom today with you, and that Brittany said the same thing you're saying. She said, "Did your father molest you? No. Do you love your father? Yes. Would you lie for your father? No."
Correct. That's like, I mean, if there would have been anything different than that, we all would have been like, I
Right.
can't believe they're reporting like that. That's terrible.
Barbara McDonald ended up taking down her tweet and putting up that she took it down based on that other people in the courtroom are saying that that is not what was said. So
correct. Yes. 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 Yes.
but I know that this is going to end up being such a nightmare on social media, and mainstream media is fucking blamed for it. So,
Well, good thing some people like us take good notes, right?
exactly. Okay, so you want to we'll just touch on the morning really quick, because ultimately you're going to go through a lot of the medical stuff, but that's fine. We can go back to it. But essentially, she says that Richard Allen, the doctor says Richard Allen, not malingering, not faking it, absolutely suffering from psychosis, mostly through April, May, and June. By July and August, he's coming out of it. And that, yes, sometimes people in psychosis say things that are true, but they're living in such a essential delirium that they don't know they don't know what's right or wrong. They don't know what's going. They have no sense of time. They have no sense of what's happening around them. That's essentially her testimony. So, I mean, we can, like I said, we can go back through the details of it, and then they bring Max Baker back on the stand. And is there any other thing hugely important you want to talk about with the doctor before I move on? So that
I think maybe your viewers would kind of want to know, because I didn't know this about Richard Allen. I didn't realize how I know that depression and anxiety is a real thing, but I didn't realize how he really did kind of internalize everything from, he always wanted to be liked, and and he had a lot of he took kind of like the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he was always afraid that he wanted to take care of his family. He didn't want to be a failure, and when he would go to work and he'd be put in positions of maybe like if it was a position where he might be more managerial. He wanted the people that worked under him to like him too, although it put a little more stress on him, and it really bothered him. So I think he was torn between directing people, but he still wanted them to like him, and he didn't want to be like a failure for his wife, taking care of them, and if people would he would get very anxious if people thought that he was failing some way, that if he wasn't doing something right, then that would make him anxious, and then he would spiral into depression, and then he tended to kind of retreat, and what they say, like curl into a ball, kind of away from everything that would just kind of how depression is. It makes you just want to stay away and just feel like like, I don't know, you're not good enough, and you beat up yourself. And what they did say is basically there were times where he believed certain things about himself, like being kind of a failure, that he would retreat so much, but really that wasn't the perception of him, especially like at work or his family, the way that they perceived him. But he was so hard on himself about that he would basically retreat. He became more passive, and kind of you know, just kind of being on his alone. And then they did talk about the psychosis and delusions, that kind of thing. The state came back and asked questions because they were talking about, the difference between, and I could tell what they were trying to get at. The state's trying to say, oh well, it was Diener that says, okay, so there's delirium, there's delusions, there's being psychotic, and there's psychosis, and they were trying to differentiate between the all of those. And basically, what they wanted to say, if you're having like severe psychosis, which he did, the state, they looked at the videos, the audios, and all that stuff, and there were periods where he was having severe psychosis due to the stress and being locked up. They were trying to differentiate that between that and like somebody that might have, like, she didn't say it, but I think it was what said one time was schizophrenia, which is something that's more permanent. It wouldn't come and go, like these periods of delusions wouldn't necessarily come and go. And the psychiatrist or the psychologist did a pretty good job to say, depending on your anxiety and what's going on, uh, they could come and go, and what your surroundings are, what you're going through and how you're coping with it could send your brain into a chemical change and completely send you into an area where you were almost like in what they called like fun land, if you will. Let me see. She compared it to, like, when you go to the fun house. Um, she said that the chemical changes in the brain almost cause you to go into like a fun house, and you don't know reality from um, your delirium. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on that, but basically they talked about the sensory deprivation, everything that he went through. I think what Diener was trying to make a point was, at first, I think she was trying to kind of discredit, like, okay, you saw a decline in his mental state and all that stuff. How did you assess that? So you're just going off of, yeah, okay, so you talked to Richard Allen's family, you're looking at these notes, and they were trying to write it off as, this is like it was one-sided, and that the state had requested several records from the defense, and they didn't get all of them. And he said, we gave you whatever you requested, but she said that there was more evaluations than that you turned over. And he's like, we turned over whatever you had asked for. I'm getting outside of my notes.
It's okay.
So yeah, because I had gone through, they were talking about the notes. There was like 30 to 50 notes, that Dr. Walla had. You had the suicide assessment. Did you note a trend with her notes and the things that you were seeing? One of the things I found very interesting was that she reviewed Dr. Walla's notes, and what she herself saw in the video during the time that Dr. Walla was making this documentation did not coincide with what she actually saw in the videos. So therefore, it was kind of bringing into question what Dr. Walla was writing. And you have what looks like evidence in front of you, notes, videotape, and all those things, but they're not the same as what Dr. Walla's assessment was.
Okay.
What
That's
was
fine.
that?
I'm going through comments and talking in chat, so you're good. I was just keeping you. I was occupying chat.
Okay. The one thing that, I look at malingering, so that's what they wanted to see, if he was faking it and that kind of a thing. I have skipped quite a bit because she was on there for a long time. They just talked about the sensory deprivation in a small space. Can people that just are, put aside without, put in a space without having all these issues, that they could potentially start having these kind of things happen to them? They said yes. Yeah, Richard Allen was wearing a gray shirt with dark gray stripes. I think
Oh, okay.
I think Andy had on I think he had on a yellow tie today with a gray
Yeah,
suit.
this one's
Yeah.
this one's from the other day. So okay, so then Max Baker takes the stand again, and they show more videos. What do you have? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was paying attention to that. Let me see here. When did he take? Okay, yeah. Okay. So he took the stand. They turned the screen away from the public. All four attorneys, Diener, McClellan, uh who was over there? Was it Baldwin and Rosie? I don't think Ajay was over there. They were all talking. Um she brought up something about an objection that was overruled on Saturday of the movement for these videos, and she said that it was this we would see that in these videos that this was cumulative, so that would be shown, which sounds like she granted that, because the state continued to object, and even during these I think Nick objected even right before. Yeah, Nick says, "Do you plan to play the video? And is this the last time that you're going to use Max Baker?" And they said, "I don't," and then he says, "I don't know, as far as like this video," and she says, "You would have the opportunity to cross." So I don't I'm not sure why he was asking that. Maybe they're getting tired of these videos. So for the jury, they called Max Baker. They said that these are movement videos. They said that if they have two sets of videos, and they're in Richard Allen's cell. They have the guards, shows some of the guards in there that are watching. So it does show that guards are watching this happen. The video is from the IDOC. They took, so it didn't have any audio. It was just all video. He said, "Are there date and time stamps on these?" Yes, there are. So he explained to the jury that he generated 20 hours of video to show jury. What he did was he condensed them in like 2-minute intervals, to break it down, because they basically were showing the same thing over and over and over. And that they did ask that later, like Nick was trying to say he was picking and choosing. So he said he did so with the different intervals. He has two of the videos. He said what we did was we clicked and dragged these segments. So they would take a segment, and he said, so you can see it moving over. And you guys probably know more about that. So if like you have a video, you're taking it and then you're moving it over, and then that's when it's kind of like getting played. He said you would see that in there where it's being dragged to that location. Let's see.
Okay.
The
It's just he's editing it, so like if there's like 3 hours, it's like a 5-hour video, and he's only wanting to show 5 minutes of the video. He's showing them, this is the section I'm taking and putting over here for you guys to see, but here's the whole 5-hour video. I think that becomes important with McClellan, because McClellan tries to put out that. So okay, so back to your objection from Saturday. So I think it was actually Friday, but it doesn't matter because it's the same point. But about the same topic. So what Max had done was originally Max and the defense were going to put on a video. Let's say, I think it was the 15th, but don't quote me on the date. But it's the 5th. It's like the 15th of all of these, or the 5th, the 5th, the 10th, the 15th of every single month. So you could see the difference in how Richard Allen's personality was. Mm-hmm. Like, so you'd be, okay, so here's February, 5, 10, 15. Here's March, 5, 10, 15. Here's, April, same thing. Like, so every month. Well, they said that Nick McClellan objected to that and said, no, we're not going to do that. We don't even want any of it shown, but we don't think it's, it's relevant. And so Judge Gull made it so they could only show videos that had to do with these specific time frames, like the April, May, June time frame. So what he did was took pieces of these interviews. Well, now today, and what you probably heard was Nick arguing, well, you were picking and choosing what to show the jury to try to make Richard Allen a victim.
I'll get to
yeah, and he's like, no, that's not what happened.
Yeah, so I'll get to that, because this won't take very long, because a lot of that was the jurors watching. Basically what he wanted to confirm that, so he had two videos. It was taken from April 12th, 2023 and May 25th, 2023. The April 12th, 2023 was 2 to 7. It was condensed and sped up, and he said that it did not, he was made sure that it did not corrupt the video, so that, you're not, there's not something, it was not spliced, like, there was nothing wrong with it. May 25th, 2023 was 8 to 10. So they moved to admit, we have a year's worth of video. He said, yes, maybe less, but we had up to July 2nd. Um, he said, so Nick said they wanted to do a sidebar. Oh, as in the sidebar, he had to say, the state wants to just, make a motion. I'm continuing to object this. I mean, that basically he wanted it to be known before this was like, so like he knows it's going to happen, but he wants to keep getting on record that he's objecting.
Right.
So April 12th, 2023 video, he said the video was an hour and 12 minutes. But they would do in 2-minute segments, and before Rosie would advance, he'd say permission to advance, to 2 minutes ahead, 2 minutes. So he had to keep asking the judge, that's kind of like the process. Once they've seen that advance, yes, yeah. So,
Yeah.
the times really don't matter because they don't mean anything to anybody. When they first started doing that, doing the first video, of course I start watching all the jurors. You've got the jurors all lined up, and in the corner over by the jurors at the front of the, right in front of the public, there's Latrell. And I did like the fact that Ajay then decided she's going to position herself over there too. And every now and then he's taking some notes. I noticed juror 1 taking notes when it first started, and they were watching. Juror 2 and juror 6 were both on the notes. Juror 9, the lady that I think is probably in her 70s, kind of grandma type, what I'd see, she had the glasses. She just had this look on her face. It was, it was, I don't want to say despair, but it was almost like you just told her the worst news possible. And she just had this look of like, and then she started going like this, putting her hand on her head. She actually ended up taking notes, that's the first time I've ever seen her take notes.
This was while the video is playing.
Yeah, while the video is playing, and then they keep advancing, so that by this time they're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The juror 12's taking notes, 8, but juror 9 was looking sad after, like, even the one juror number 2, she's like this, going like she's got her eyebrows up, and she's watching, and then we juror 10 then starts leaning forward. He's the guy with the really dark beard and like the thin guy, but the dark beard. He's like glasses, like he's really looks like a real smart guy, the nerd kind of guy. And then I will tell you, 1, 2, and 12 were taking the most notes. Number 6 was he started like this, resting his hand over his mouth. And then as the videos were played, he shook his head, and he's looking down. And then he kind of looked back, and he's looking down. He's not wanting to see it. And then they advanced again. He looked, and he kept his head turned away from watching the videos. Like, and he put his hand in his head like this at one point.
Jeez.
And and he shook his head. As this progressed, juror number 9, she started taking the notes. I was like, oh, juror number 9's taking notes now.
Just for clarification purposes for everybody in chat, so on Saturday they played all of the videos from him being transported around the prison, and today they were playing if you guys remember, he's on 24-hour surveillance. They purposely put him in this cell because it's only one of 2 cells in the entire prison that has this camera that is inside the cell to watch them 24 hours a day. So you keep hearing probably the words in cell. It's literally inside the cell videos. And that was what was being played today. So this is where they're watching the videos where he's drinking his own toilet water. This is where they're watching the videos where he's banging his head on the wall. This is where they're watching the videos where he's rubbing feces all over his body and eating it. This is the type of videos the jury is seeing today. The inside the cell videos.
It's hard, there's it's hard not to kind of get into that. Like I'm glad I didn't see it, because if you're a compassionate person, you're compassionate all around, not just
Right.
one side or the other. You're a compassionate person and empathetic person, and I'm glad I didn't see that. I almost felt I almost felt the pain or the sadness and despair that they were feeling by watching them. It was, just to watch them, and this juror shaking the head, and the number nine's kind of going like this, and like she doesn't want to see the other one's going, her eyes are big, kind of putting her head back like this. A lot of them are taking notes. At one point, like I said, the juror number 6, he just kept going like this, and he was looking down, and they kept advancing, and he didn't want to look up. And he is one that shook his head, like. And then juror number 6, oh, that was juror number 6. Juror number 1, then I saw she was looking away, like she didn't want to watch anymore, and she was looking over at Matt, one of the investigators for the defense team. And I saw her at first. I thought maybe she was looking at Richard Allen over here, but then saw she just kept looking, and then she kind of looked back at the screen, and she just kind of looked, and she was staring right over at the investigator. I think she was just trying to do something with her eyes rather than watch
Not
what she
watch
was
that
watching.
video.
Yeah.
So
Now
did you hear any grumblings today? Because I did hear, and I don't, grumblings is probably not the right word, but there was a lot of talk, quote unquote, from Saturday, where the family was unhappy that the videos were going to be not shown to the gallery to protect Richard Allen's privacy, but they were upset about the girls' pictures, autopsy, crime scene, all shown to the
Yeah.
jury. Was that still something that was a topic today, or was that?
I heard a little bit about that, through the rumor mill. I heard a little bit about, like, hey, you show these pictures of the girls. Well, why are you holding off on Richard Allen? I mean, I heard that that's what was said, but there's the situations are like it's different. Like, okay, well, he's innocent until proven guilty. You don't know that he killed him. I mean, right now the state hasn't proven that Richard Allen did this. So, you're going to show somebody, okay, he ends up not being the killer. So far, they've not proven that he is, and you're gonna expose him to the world just because they got the wrong guy. I mean, so I see kind of like two different planes on this. If they had all this stuff stacked against them, I mean, we don't know, but and some of these things are for purposes of for the jurors to know these things. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. I don't.
I agree with you.
I
Well, so I mean,
understand.
there's a couple of things that I want to touch on, since we were talking about it, is that the
Yeah.
prosecution did not request for the other photos to not be shown to the gallery. So I think we have to start there. But even before that, though, I've said this a lot on the channel, and I know it really gets people all kind of riled up when I say this, but the trial, as much as people want the trial to be about the girls,
Mm-hmm.
trials are not about the victims. And I know that people think they should be, but they're not. The trial is actually about Richard Allen and his constitutional rights. And I think that for as many times as I've said that on this channel, this is this kind of just shows the world, this is it, no matter what, no matter who the victims are in the case, the
Mm-hmm.
trial is about the defendant.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that people don't want it to be like that. I get it. I get the emotion behind it, but it's you have two different parts here. One, once you're deceased, your rights are essentially null and void. You don't
Mm-hmm.
really have the same rights. So the
not to say that you like, obviously you have compassion and you want
right.
justice for them, but the justice is on the morals, kind of a moral side to some degree. This is on a legal side, and that's, I mean, the Constitution is kind of bridging. Those two
It is. I
things.
mean, yeah, and people are like, well, I can't believe you say those kinds of things, but it's I don't know how else to put it to people that when it comes to the trial, if we went back to the old days, we went back to old law and we just said Richard Allen is the right guy, we wouldn't have a trial. We would just go hang him in the courtyard and we'd all be done with it. The reason for the trial is literally about the defendant, and I that doesn't take away any grief or anything wrong with the family being upset that the girls' photos are shown. I understand that 100%. I don't think that the family would want it shown, but I don't think it's right to be like upset with Richard Allen or his attorneys because they requested to not have these types of things shown to the gallery.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons I'm bringing it up right now too is because during Max Baker's cross-examination, Nick really tries to push the fact that like they're trying to make Richard Allen a victim and that the girls are the victims in the case. And it's like right now, the state of Indiana victimized Richard Allen. He wasn't a victim of the system until they made the decisions that they made. So Max isn't making him a victim. The state of Indiana made him a fucking victim, and he shouldn't have been that way. And for all the people who are mad about it, that you got to get mad at the right people. And that's the state of fucking Indiana.
Right.
So I think if people getting mad about like Brad Rosie or Andrew Baldwin or Richard Allen should have just acted more dignified and then we wouldn't be here. But no, like that's not, it's just not the case.
I'll go over the cross here in a second about how Max handled that situation, because trust me, Nick brought this up and talked about the victimization and that sort of thing. But the second video real quick was May 25th, 2003. It was from 8 a.m. 8 to 10. It was only a 26-minute video. It was much shorter. Really, there wasn't a whole lot. Juror 6 still had to hand over mouth, looking down, not watching, looking away.
Yes.
And, just kind of look away from that. The video was complete. Let's see. Rosie said you testified. Max, something about the Steve Bauer. I forget. God, I was typing something. Right. Oh, like, okay, so he did these videos. He basically put these segments together with Steve. I think his name is Bauer. And he said he said some were cut out just to shorten, so you weren't watching the same thing for an hour of the same stuff basically over and over. He said in terms of the cutout stuff, it's the same type of videos, correct? He said yes. And then he said they had more, but okay, then they moved the screen back. Sorry, they moved the screen back. Then Nick McLean says, in the video, we saw Richard Allen in the cell by himself. He said, yeah, so you believe it's safe? They got an objection. He goes, so you think, is it safer for Richard Allen to be in a cell by himself or in the general population? There was objection.
Yeah, Max doesn't have the expertise to say that.
Yeah. And they said, so how many hours of video have you watched? He said hundreds and hundreds of hours. And then Nick says, I got Bella here.
Hi.
Hey, come say hi real quick.
I'm just watching Julie.
No, I'm just like,
I love. Hi. Oh, I'm waving at you. You can't see me. Hold on. Let me turn my camera back on. Hi.
Oh my God. Yes. Hi. I'm just listening.
You could always add a comment.
This is when I have serious FOMO. Is you guys all being there together without me. This is when I have serious FOMO.
I'm just making you have FOMO right now.
You really are. You guys really are.
You have some time.
Oh,
you still have time. Come.
It's real.
Yeah, it is. So he goes, how Nick said, how many hours of video do you have you watched? He said, it was hundreds. And then Nick said, well, the other day, he says, so the other day you chose 15 of the movement videos. And today you're choosing 2 of the most important ones. He's like, well, I'll just kind of give the jury an idea of what was going on in his cell. And he says, well, why did you choose the 15? He said there were, you had all these different aspects of the water, the showers and all this stuff, and being tased. And he basically said, you showed the worst videos you could possibly show, right? To make it look like he's like Richard Allen's the victim. You know, he said, and you
The
did this
worst,
to get.
the worst videos you could possibly show. They shouldn't even be fucking videos of any of this. This would bothered me so much when I was reading this earlier, Julie. There shouldn't
Yeah.
even be these videos to show. Like,
Exactly, that's the
what
thing.
is Nick
And
even thinking? Like, you picked the worst ones. Well, who
there
fucking
was.
cares? These shouldn't be the worst ones. We shouldn't even have these.
He said, he goes, why did you give him these? He says, why did you get these? He goes, to get sympathy from the jury. In the show, he said,
Oh,
you picked
fucking
these 15 videos to show because you want to show the worst videos. And he goes, I could have picked worse, which I thought that was a good answer. I could have picked worse. And then Nick says, but you showed these videos to the jury to try to imply that Richard Allen's the victim. He goes, I was trying to get an accurate representation of what was happening in his cell. Nick says, but you chose the worst videos. And he says, Richard Allen isn't the victim. And Max goes, no. He said, Abby and Libby are the victims. He said, yes. And then there was an objection, you know, because he's, I don't know, can't make that decision. Okay, he says, did you pick these videos to show? He says, let's see, Rosie, was it Rosie? Rosie, he says, did you pick these videos to show the truth? And he said, yes. I think because sometimes they're sitting down and Rosie would ask a question, or sometimes Dean or ask a question when they're sitting down. So then Nick says, you chose these, chose to show. You could have, you could have gotten some other ones. Why there was another
But
objection.
this was supposedly very heated. Can you kind of describe what
Oh,
was going on?
yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
this was
it was. Well, it starts getting more heated with Max. And I thought he did a good job. He said, so the two in the cell video, they depict events prior to the trial. Objection. Okay, Nick McClellan says, do you think these events I have important to the jury to see? And there was another objection. They kept objection. You chose these to show the jury I can't even read my writing. I've kind of trailed off on that. You know, basically tried to. He said he showed those to show the jury the objective. You know, basically what was going on in there. Then they had, oh, let's do a sidebar. So they went and did a sidebar, and then he came back to say, since you work for the defense, can you confirm that the defense didn't proctor you to choose these? I think that came back with Rosie. He says, no, they gave me discretion. And then he said, you had other videos of walking. I'm walking back to the whatever.
Rosie was basically saying at that point, right? He was just walking around. I mean, you could have shown
Yeah, he was
hours
walking
of him
around.
just walking.
Yeah, he says that. So but there's a reason you picked these, and he says, were any of these videos that you played from dates of confession? He goes, well, I don't know that. And then when he kept going after him, saying, you picked these, and he's like, well, you never objected. He kept saying, you never objected. Like, yeah, I chose this. Oh, you did it to show him how bad he looked. You never objected. He had the opportunity because he knew it was going to be played, and they didn't object before, but now when we're in court, they're objecting. All
Well, so did
right.
it kind of come around like oh, sorry, hold on. There's a little bit of a delay. So from my understanding, it was kind of like maybe that's not until the jury asked the question, but when the jury comes and asks questions, it's like, did you pick these from the defense side or whatever, or did the defense attorneys have you pick these?
Yeah.
And he was like, no, I actually
Yeah.
had a whole lot of
No.
other videos I wanted to show you, but the prosecution objected to showing them. Max says that.
Right. Yes. Yeah. He said, yeah, he said I had worse to show, but that he didn't. Bella, somebody saying you, I love you. Yeah, so did you pick these videos to show? Yeah, the truth. You chose to show them. You could have objected. That's what he said, you chose to show these, and he goes, well, you could have objected. The two on the cell video, they depict events prior to trial. So yeah, I mean, and he did say that he had others. I don't know if they said that they had objected, which I thought. Let me look real quick. Yeah, he basically just said that, you didn't object to these that I chose. So he could have shown worse. And he did say, I could have shown worse. So these are the ones that I showed. And he just basically said it was to get an accurate depiction because it was just going on. I mean, there was two. He kind of just compared him to the 15 that they had. No, I thought Max did really well because he held his own, because Nick was coming hard. Here's the thing is Nick was angry. why be angry? Why be angry that we're showing what's going on in the prison if you don't have anything to hide?
I don't
If
even
the prison,
understand the whole, you pick the worst ones. Who gives a shit? Why are these even videos to be shown? Like, I don't even understand that mentality. Like, these shouldn't even be happening to begin with. What? I don't know. Do you think that it was effective for Nick to be acting like that? Did you happen to look at?
no, I think it worked. Personally, I think it worked against him. Basically, he's standing and he's standing there like, you know, his hands up. He's kind of like watching like this, and he's standing up there by the judge, and he's got his head turned, and he's going, like let me see this, and everybody else is just kind of standing there watching, and Latrell was actually pretty good, but he's just kind of like, oh, like he's like, just for the record, the state's still objecting to this. I'm still objecting to this, and then he kind of came at Max like that same way. He's like, you were trying to do this to make Richard Allen look like the victim, like, and you could have, you had other ones. And he's like, and then Max did say, yeah, Max was very calm. He's like, when Nick says, they're the victims, right? Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you. So what? Hold on, dude. What are you getting mad about? Because we're showing what's going on in the prison. Like, what do you have to
Right.
hide? So he was just You could see his disdain was coming out in his cross examination. He was pissed about the fact that even exists. I sat there and I thought, especially when Steve Mullen came up to interview again, I thought, I bet a lot of you could have because I think Nick seems to be a good prosecuting attorney, and you could have a really good prosecuting attorney, but have such I don't want inept law enforcement that it kind of ruins your whole case, because you could present so well, but everything else crumbles around you because you don't have that much control. But I think he has a lot more control than most prosecutors. I don't know. It just seems like, you got Steve Mullen in there, you got Jerry Holman in there all the time, you got the entire state surrounding them. So, yeah. You guys can watch Andrea's live this evening to get the more details of the psychologist if you want, like, because she'll break all that down.
Yeah, so I wanted to skip ahead to more like the afternoon stuff too, because like I said,
Yeah.
I mean the doctor stuff can get pretty redundant, and it's
Yeah.
just kind of going over the overall. So then Max ends, and then you guys go to lunch, right?
Yeah, we go to lunch, and that was when all the stuff was like people cutting in line and all the stuff, and they were trying to object to the comparison, or to the assessment, like the decline. Like, so she wrote a report, the psychologist or neuropsychologist, whatever, and so she wrote this report, and they were trying to object because it's kind of based on hearsay, and then judge came back and said, I had a chance to review the comparison of what before and after, and she said, it's kind of like a totem pole hearsay, so unless you can recite anything specific that's the hearsay, then I think she said she admitted that. Do you guys know she admitted that, right? Or wait,
Well, last I
I'm sorry.
heard, that's okay. So last I heard on that was that Nick had objected, she was going to consider it, and she came back and said unless he can prove that it's hearsay, otherwise it's just tandem hearsay, and she's going to allow it. So I don't know what the final say-so was.
She said like totem pole. She says like a totem pole hearsay.
It's called totem hearsay, yeah.
Okay.
So it's like it's not actual hearsay.
So she said unless
you bring it in.
She said unless you can quote the specific hearsay therein, then she's going to admit it. So they had to kind of get specific about why are you saying, hearsay?
Because so Judge Jessica asked, like, why would they say it's hearsay? So if it's like, well, Rick told Walla that, and then Walla said this, it becomes like all this secondary hearsay along the lines. But her reporting, if she goes in and she just says, my observation of Walla's notes is this, my observation of these notes is this, my observations of, or my opinions based on these notes, you take all this out of the hearsay of, Rick told Walla told Nick told the defense, and then, you know what I mean? I'm just making up the names, but like the layers of it. So she's like, no, like it's not hearsay because she's, her report doesn't actually sit there and quote these certain types of things. So it's tandem hearsay because she's observing other people's notes, but she's allowed to do that. So I said that last thing I heard on that was that she was saying, hey, unless you can prove there's actual hearsay in her reports, then I'm going to allow it.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if Nick ever came back and said, here's the actual hearsay. I don't know what happened with that.
No, he didn't. He didn't. They just left it.
They don't want her in there trying to say that he was suffering from psychosis and that he was not.
And I do want to point out something real quick that I just remembered that caught me is when the psychologist was reading her assessment when she was comparing her assessment like as to like Dr. Wallace, how they might be different. And she said like Walla was more kind of telling a story versus more hers being more clinically written, more not a story, just a basic factual points and that sort of thing. Whereas Wallace was more like she was telling a story, like a narrative.
She's telling a story, all right. Okay, so quick question on the Max Baker before we go to the afternoon witnesses. On Max Baker, did Nick say Abby and Libby are the victims, and then Max agreed, or did Max say did Nick say who are the actual victims, and Nick
he said Rick Allen isn't the victim, and he said no, Abigail and Libby are, and Max said yes, and then there was an objection from okay, yeah, so Nick put that in there. Now then Jamie Jones, which we haven't talked about her, right?
We only talked about her kind of with the questions, but that's Rick's sister.
Okay, so this is real quick. Okay, it was Alger called Jamie Jones, and she is she says, tell us who you are, and she spelled her name. She said Rick Allen's sister, so basically tell us about do you have the same dad? She says we have different dads, like it's Kathy.
Mm-hmm.
No, wait, it was Rick. I'm sorry, Rick. As Rick.
This is Janice's daughter. Yeah, Janice's daughter with Rick's stepdad.
Yes.
Adopted dad.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah. So she says, we have different dads, same mother, yes. So they both have the same mother. So Janice is the mom. How do you and Rick compare in age? He's 5 years older. Yep. Did you let's see, did you live together? Yeah. So were you guys living together growing up? Yes. How old were you when Rick moved out? She says 18. He moved out, when Rick moved out. Yeah, he moved out for basic 18. Training. Yeah, and then he got married when he got back out of the basic training. And she said he was gone twice, I think, for the reserves. And then Ajay said, did Richard Allen ever molest you or touch you in any sexual manner? No. Do you love your brother? Yes. Would you lie for him? No. And then Latrell says, so you are 5 years younger? Yes. So you were around lots of kids in your neighborhood back in the day, right? She said, yes. So I'll ask you, do you know a name Chris? And there was objection. Ajay said, objection outside the scope. So he's trying to bring up kids' names when they were children.
Right. The ones that are in the confessions of that he molested Chris. He also killed Chris, I believe. Chris was his best friend, and he killed him and he molested him.
Well, just like there were before all this trial started happening, there was all that rumor that he did stuff to his daughter and all that stuff. Turns out,
interesting.
Yeah. And then that was it. There was nothing more on that one. That was it. It was like she was up there like two minutes, like boom. then we went to Brittany Zapata. So Zapanta,
Yeah.
Zapanta. So we
Zapanta.
already got that. So we got her, and then the next one was the next witness was Shelby Hicks. Real
Shelby
pretty
Hicks.
girl. Yeah, Shelby Hicks. She's pretty.
Is she?
Yeah, she's 30 years old. They said how old were you back in 2017? She was 23. She said she's from the Monticello area. She was born and raised there and went to high school at Twin Lakes, and she's a realtor in Lafayette now. Okay. Now here's one. I will say this is one witness that she gave a deposition, but like she didn't bother to go back and read it and refresh her memory just to jog her memory back in 20 from because she gave a deposition to the defense, but I don't think she remembered that much about 2017, except all the stuff that she put in her deposition. So it was like she got there and he had to keep referring to the deposition. I mean, she was very credible on the stand, though. Do you remember February 13th, 2017? Yes. So what were you doing? Well, I bought a new car and I had to get it fixed in Lafayette. And so when I got the car back, it was a beautiful day. So then I decided to go to the trails with my boyfriend, who was that? Daniel Pearson. And the trail was the Monon High Bridge. Have you seen the High Bridge? Yes. What time did you arrive? She says 2:30, and he says, "What makes you think it was around 2:30?" She goes, "Well, because I took my car in about 12:40. Then my dad called about 2:30, and I had a 2:30 timestamp on my phone when I was basically at the bridge. So it was right around that time." Where did you park? She didn't know the Mears farm. She wasn't familiar with that, but she described everything. You know, there's a farm across. There was the kind of the midsection of the path. So she described it. She just didn't. They asked her if she knew it as Mears, and she said, she didn't. Then she said, he said, "What do you remember about that parking area?" And she's like, "I don't remember." Okay, would it help to refresh your memory with the deposition? Go to page 17 and read. Yeah, there were other cars, but I don't remember how many. This is Baldwin, by the way, doing the exam. Do you recall which direction you went? Which this is new to me. Yeah, first we went towards the highway, which was like the Freedom Bridge. We probably walked about 5 to 10 minutes. We didn't go all the way in. And then we turned around and we walked toward the high bridge. Okay, how far did you go before you stopped? And that was they stopped like at the very end of the first platform. Then they handed her the deposition, told her to read line 19, 20 through 25. How far did you go? Halfway, she said, halfway to the highway, which is what I already told about. Halfway down, turned around, went to the high bridge. Once you went to the high bridge, how long did it take to get there? She said 10 or 15. Did you see anyone? Yes. A gentleman, and two friends from school. So how many people do you remember seeing? So there was two friends from school. There
That's
was an older
Cheyenne and
man.
the other Shelby, right? Cheyenne and the other Shelby.
Yes, I was gonna get to that. And a
Oh,
couple of
correct.
kids. Okay, so tell us about the guy
Who
you
are the
saw.
couple
Well,
of kids?
the only thing I remember, huh?
Who are the
The guy
couple
that
of kids?
she didn't know who the kids were. We don't know who the kids were, but we do know. So the older guy, what memory do you have of him? She said she just remembers that he had a camera. And then she said that the two friends she saw were from high school. So that was Cheyenne Holgren and Shelby Duncan at the time. So
Mhm.
were you there first? Gosh, because I don't remember. She had to refresh her memory again. She says, "I was there on the threshold." She goes, "The threshold, the lever, platform on the bridge." She called it three different things. Um, who did you see walking? She said Shelby and Cheyenne. They were the friends from high school. He said, were you supposed to meet them there? Was this like expected or unexpected? She said unexpected. It was, we just basically stopped briefly, said hi to each other, and then they went on across the bridge to the south end. He said, "What did they do?" She just walked to the other side. Who was with you? Daniel at the time. And we were on the right side. They said they were at the right side of the platform. "So did you watch your friends go to the end?" She goes, "Well, I watched them go in that direction. Couldn't remember if she saw them." She just says, "I think I saw them go pretty much all the way over." Um, then Okay, so okay, they went back to the guy with the camera. So where did you see this guy with the camera? She goes, well, when we went we were going back to the high bridge, and we saw the man with the camera, and he was kind of still like he was facing the bridge, which facing the bridge with the camera, and he was taking photos. Then they went back and said, she goes, they asked about the having the friends walk all the way. She had to look at the deposition, so she was looking at that and said, I did watch them walk to the other side. Did the old man with the camera pass you, or when? She goes, I just remember he passed us with the camera. What about the two kids? Do you know who they were? No. Where were they walking to? Do you know where they were walking to? I do not. How much
Any
long?
did they say how old these kids are? This is new info for me, so I know it's probably not as big of a deal in the scheme of things. But I didn't know there was another two kids running around there. Like, do we know if they were like kids? Were they like teenage kids? Because she was 23 at the time. So
No, no. It sounded like. I mean, it sounded to me like maybe she calls kids like 15 or something. You know, teenagers is
so
what
who
I'm
the heck
thinking.
are these people?
I see. That's what it. I don't know. And then she didn't know either. This
That's
so
more people there, literally already there by 2:30 in the afternoon.
yeah.
Remember, our girls go missing at 2:13.
Mm-hmm.
So there's
Yeah.
other kids that are literally right there.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, that's frustrating to me. Okay.
I know. So he said, how much longer did you stay there after you saw the
Girl,
girls go?
boys.
She didn't say. I don't have male or female. She said two kids. So
Ah, okay.
I know it's crazy, isn't it? That was news to me too. It says that how much longer were you there after you saw Cheyenne and was it what's the other girl's name? Go across. She says probably about she goes, I don't remember, like 10 minutes. Then what? Then she says we walked to the vehicle. And he goes, did you just go straight to the vehicle? She was like, yeah, straight to the vehicle. Do you remember if there were cars there? She didn't remember, had to refresh her memory. Um, and also she wasn't quite sure about how long she had stayed on that platform. She thought 10 to 15, 20 minutes, so she had to kept referring to this. She said she was there less than 30, but probably not greater than 30 minutes after the girls crossed. So once you got your to the parked car, then what? She goes, we drove away, went to the Amish community, went to Camden that area, and then we went home. And then Baldwin says, when did you think that you had info for law enforcement? She said, well, the next day Daniel wanted to go tell them after the girls were found, we need to tell them. So we stopped at the station, but they asked us, there was too much going on. They asked us, just to come back later at a later time. So, he ended up going to work. And he said, well, did you answer questions from law enforcement later? And she said, yes. How many times? 2 times. Basically 2 times about everything that, that we experienced, that we saw, that kind of thing. And Dina was requesting a sidebar at the time. So they had a sidebar. Baldwin came back and then said, so law enforcement met with you 2 times. Yes. February 14th, the day after. So it says the day after. It must have been the February 14th, the day after. That must, okay, maybe it was the 14th. I had the 14th, the day after. Maybe the day after they were there on the 13th. And then the second time was a couple months later. That's what she thought, but it actually was in March, because March of 2017 was actually the second time from the deposition. So maybe they didn't like the fact. Why do you think they wanted that
We just love our
sidebar?
clients and they love us
Yeah.
back.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Did,
Ask
did,
it again.
so Baldwin said, did police at any point take your phone to extract information? No, they didn't. Would you have given it to them if they asked? Yes. Do you know where that phone is today? I do not.
Oh,
So
hey. She doesn't know where her phone in 2017 is. Interesting.
yeah, I thought the same thing. Either just Richard said, right? So Dina was like, cross. Okay, do you remember your cell phone provider? Your cell provider? She said Sprint. And did you have those statements or refer to any of the statements that you made to law enforcement when you made your deposition? She said, I don't remember. Have you ever been to the other end? She said, no. Did you pay attention to see if those girls went all the way to the other end? Could you see? Because she was thinking, well, I think they did. Could you see? She goes, well, through the trees. I mean, like, no, not through the trees. Um, did you watch them walk back? No. Did you leave before they walked back? Yes. Then there's a sidebar to review the jury questions. So that was all the questions she had. There was a sidebar. The question was,
The
Miss
jury
Hicks, was the
the
man with the
jury had
camera
no
old?
questions. The jury had no questions
I'm
for
sorry?
Jamie.
No,
No, the jury
no, they do.
did,
Oh, not for yeah,
or for I'm
not for
not. So I'm
Jamie.
just
Let me just
clarifying.
double.
Not for. There's a delay. Sorry. Not for Jamie. Not for Brittany.
Right.
No jury questions for them.
Well, Brittany, we had the questions about walking across the bridge.
Oh, that was from the jury. Okay.
Let me see something. I thought, wait a second. Where is it? Jamie, the jury. Let me see if the jury had any. I'm just double checking. I don't know. I don't have any for. No, jury didn't have any questions for Jamie and for the other. Hang tight. Okay, what's her name's afterwards? Where's Brittany? Yeah, jury. See, Auger, Gall. Okay. Jury sidebar. I think I don't. There were some questions, but I don't think there was jury questions
Okay.
because the question was from. I think the question was from Latrell asking, so did you visit the High Bridge in your teens? Yes. Across the bridge? Yes. Did you visit with your father?
Somebody said that the jury asked Brittany if she visited the bridge as a teen, and she said
Okay, so these are I have these under the jurors, but
yeah. And then Latrell followed up with, "Had you visited the Monon High Bridge with your father?" She said yes. And then Latrell asked her if she was scared at the bridge, if the bridge scared her, and she said yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's
So-
why I had that lined off, and I couldn't remember why I put that line off because they I didn't expect him to get back up and ask that. But yeah, you got it. That's right. That's accurate.
Okay, so then I have a question about Hicks. Did you
Yeah.
get any indicators? And I don't know, you weren't in court for this day, but when they had Cheyenne on the stand, they kept they kept asking Cheyenne if she was with Shelby Duncan and if Shelby Duncan was actually Shelby Hicks. And then she was like, "No, it's Shelby Duncan." And then they were like, "So it's Shelby Hicks?" And she's like, "No, it's Shelby Duncan." Like she said, the cops over and over asked her if she was with Shelby Hicks and not Shelby Duncan. Did you get any indicator while Shelby Hicks was on the stand what that was about? Did the cops just not understand that there was two Shelbys there that day, or
No, that's one of those. That's one of those things where they're crossing their lines and it's kind of going unnoticed, I think, by the jurors. It's
okay?
like we all know it. We all know there's two different Shelbys, and we know, but it was like the lines were kept getting crossed on
Okay.
that. But no, but for this testimony, it wasn't. It was just straightforward, easy. Okay, so where was I'm done with that one, right? Okay.
I think so. Yeah. So essentially, she was
Oh,
on the
wait.
bridge. Go ahead.
Yeah, they did the jury question. Said Miss Hicks was the man had the camera old. Yes. So you say you arrived at Monon High Bridge around 3 p.m. and she said, yeah, it could have been. And then Baldwin said, well, it could have been earlier than that. Yeah, or could have been earlier than that. What do I have? What 2:30? God, 2:30 to 3. Sorry. Somebody says I wrote 2:50 to 3. You say you arrived at the Mona High Bridge 2:50 to 3. She goes, it could have been earlier than that. Yes, it could have been. Because before she was saying around 2:30 because her dad had called her.
Okay.
So
And what time did she leave?
Hmm?
What time did she leave?
Uh
Did anybody ask her that?
No, she said, okay, so basically she said how long she stayed. So they got there around 2:30. They took a walk back down halfway and then back to the bridge, which I think the total was like, 15 minutes, which that sounds about right. And then they stayed another, maybe no more than another, like 30 minutes and left.
Okay.
I don't know if it's 30, stayed at 30 minutes and left, or the total time they were there was 30. That was my question. That wasn't clarified. Maybe Andrea has more clarification on that one. So that I think that was that part was it, and then we get to Mullen. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Uh,
Fucking Mullen back on the stand. This fucking guy. Okay.
I mean, it's like it's just easy to just say I don't remember everything, and then you're good, right?
That's
So
what they do.
Baldwin just basically directed and said, "Do you remember you turned over information to the state in 2016 about Ford Focuses? Yeah. What year did you look into? 2007 to 2000. I have 17, but I thought at first he said 2018. So he hands Mullen the state exhibit JJJ. Does this look familiar to you? He says probably so. Why can't he just say yes? So it's a list of Ford Focuses SE that were registered within like White, Cass, Carroll, Howard, and Tippecanoe County, and they were models 2011 to 2017.
Mhm.
So there are similar models. Yeah. So the Ford Focus of 2011, 2017. Do you know what the codes are for that? This is when it gets like he's kind of like, now he knew the code for the one model he was looking for, which is the P3K. SC. He goes, oh yeah, that stands for P3K stands for SC. I don't know what that means.
Okay.
He said, what about the P3M? And he started listing all these other ones. He goes, I don't know. I only looked for P3K. And he said, that's because you wanted to find Richard Allen's car. You wanted to find a car like Richard Allen's, right? And that's why you were looking only for that model, because you were
But
trying to
he
pin
said,
it to
I gotta
Richard.
clarify it, Julie. He's saying that they were actually looking for a Ford Focus back in 2017.
Well, let me look at the date. No, he just, it says, he says, do you remember you turned information over to the state in state about 2016 Ford Focuses? It doesn't
Okay.
tell when.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that's, you guys you'll have that report when he turned a report in when they were looking. It had to be when they were first looking into him. They
Yeah,
wouldn't
back
have
in
had any reason to do it.
2022.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
wouldn't have any reason to do it. They were doing it when they were trying to pin it on him. So it was just recently. Yeah, you
Gotcha.
got the date.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't have the date written down on that when he did that. So basically, he admitted he's like,
They were
I
asking,
don't.
I think the 20, hold on, just to clarify for the chat real quick. The question was, do you remember turning over the information about the Ford Focuses about people who owned a Ford Focus in 2017? So it wasn't like wasn't being looked at in 2017. The question is about the information being turned over that they were researching who owned these types of cars in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So basically, he clarified that he was only looking for one model of that Ford Focus. So because to basically, you know, because I guess because that's the car. Why? Because Richard Allen was driving that car. He said, so do you think that the jury and that we should have, do you think that law enforcement should have looked at all the models of the Ford Focus? He said yes. He said, and Nick McLean goes, well, you were just asking, you're asking to see certification letter of the models of the cars. Then there was an objection. Oh, Nick McLean, he goes, can I see that? Because he wanted to see the certification letter. And then there was something about the certification. And then he came back and he said, do you know how many hatchback Ford Focuses were owned around the area? And then I think he objected again. He's like, what do you mean around the surrounding area? He said the surrounding area, like Carroll County and the surrounding area, because he wanted to know how many Ford Focuses were around the hatchback. Was Richard Allen's car a hatchback? 'Cause I didn't know that. There's a hatchback. And so no, he said no, he doesn't know. He says, no, I don't. Do you remember talking about missing it? Okay, so now we got off the whole freaking thing altogether. Basically, we looked at one car, one model, we didn't look at anything else, and that's that. And yeah, I don't know anything
Until
about
they
any other
knew
kind of
what Richard
cars.
Allen drove, so they only went to look for the car that Richard Allen drove
Yeah.
instead of
And
the
so then Baldwin decided to just change this thing up and says, do you remember talking about missing evidence last week? Yes. Do you remember creating a log? They're going to get him on this one. Do you remember creating a log of missing evidence? Yeah. So you're sitting here under oath and you're telling me that you have a log of missing evidence? You remember now, you're under oath and you testified in objection by Nick McClellan. You testify. You remember testifying, and then Nick says objection. This answers this. He goes. He asked if he testified. Well, what he goes. Nick says he asked if he testified, and he answered it. No, but he was. He they was just trying to make a point. And Nick's trying to make it's like mince meat out of this stuff. Just to get kind of say objection. So okay, so he had the transcript. I have the transcript of March 18th, 2024. He said, you testified. You testify. Well, there's an objection again. And he said, he goes, that's not what he said, what you just told me, he had to make, he says, that's not what you testified to. And then Mullins in a roll of a voice, he goes, where? He goes, where's that? And he's reviewing, he's holding the transcript. And Baldwin says, you told the court last March 18th, 2024, there was no log. He just said, I did say that, yes. He goes, that's different than what you're saying today, correct? And he said, yes. So there was no log of who was interviewed, of the missing interviews, February and March of 2017. He said, well, that's not correct. There are logs in the filing cabinet. He says, but this is crazy. This was like, he goes, he said that you said that. He goes, well, since then I went through and there was some in the filing cabinet. He said, but you,
This is all Baldwin asking still, like.
Yeah, Baldwin's asking this,
Yeah.
and then he's like, well, no, but he goes like, this is not what you told us. You said you didn't have anything. Now you're telling us you do.
Right.
Remember, you're under oath. Okay, basically trying to say without saying it, you're impeaching yourself, dude. And
Yeah.
Said, well,
you told us you didn't have a fucking list of what was missing or what interviews there were, and now you're saying that you do have a fucking list.
Well, he goes, since then I went and looked through the filing cabinet. He goes, and the same can be said for the videos. There's no videos, no audios in February and March of 2017. He goes, yes. So did you ever have in your log that Libby's phone was no longer on or working condition? Then there was an objection. They did the sidebar. Then they did the sidebar. It was sustained. And then Baldwin says, well, you heard State Trooper, I forget his name, Houchins or whatever. I couldn't get right. I didn't get that. When he testified about, okay, well, now we're going to the van. I mean, it's like a L switcheroo with these things. About the van, yeah. Did you hear Trooper Harshman say that there was no social media like Instagram, Reddit, anything at all, rumors or anything of the such? There was none of that out there about the van ever being talked about. He goes, I don't know. He said, that Dr. Walla went to, I can't read it. She had reviewed, she had reviewed social media. She had been in groups. She got information.
Yeah.
Yeah, got in groups and reviewed social media, and that she admits that she had given information to Richard Allen, including potentially that Dr. Wallen knew about that information about a van and fed it to Richard Allen. Is that possible? He's like, yeah. Did you see anything about a van on social media? He goes, I didn't look. Did Harshman? I don't know. So would it be surprised that there were dozens of white vans around and around the area? He said objection. He didn't look. He didn't look. Okay, so you don't know what Wallace said to Richard Allen when she was assessing him. No. So when Richard Allen made admission about the van, is that when law enforcement received the information about the van? He said, yeah, that's correct. So he says, then you contacted Nick McClellan. Nick steps in and says, well, then we contacted Mr. Weber. Is that correct? Yes. Sidebar, they went to a sidebar. And then that's kind of like where it was left. And then the jury came out and they said, now somebody, I wish they would have answered this, or the defense attorney should have said something. One of the jury's questions was, why would anyone discuss the van prior to Richard Allen confession?
What is it? Why did they ask that question? Like,
I know.
who are they talking about?
I feel like there's one person on here that's like a shill for the prosecution. That's the same person that keeps giving an outlet to these witnesses. Well, is it possible that you could have seen this? Yeah. Kind of like that. Remember the lady, when
Oh, the curly, the hair versus the hat.
Blair. Oh, is it possible
Okay, so-
that you could have mistaken the hair for a hat or whatever?
So the jury says, read the jury question again for me.
Why would anyone discuss the van prior to Richard Allen confessions? That
But we don't know who
a van scared him. Now, duh, because this whole case has been about leaks. Everybody's discussing everything about the crime. And so what do you mean, people? I felt like that really needed to be addressed.
Well, I think I want to know who they mean by anyone. Who was anyone? Was it the cops? Because he answers as if they're asking the cops.
Well, no, because Brad, or because Andy Baldwin said, hey, look, there was none of this stuff. None of this stuff was on social media, and then this van pops up. It gets, this van suddenly pops up out of nowhere. Like there was nowhere on social media. And the person on the jury is like, well, why would there be any discussion of a van before Richard Allen confessed it? Like, i.e., meaning, well, in the back, I'm thinking that juror must be thinking that he did this. That's kind of the first time I got like, oh,
really?
why would there be?
I'm feeling like it could go either way. That's why I'm like, I'm wondering like what that's your feeling. So I'm going to go with that because you're sitting there listening to it. But the fact that
it could go either way. You're right.
So I'm going to show this really quick just because we're on this topic right now.
Okay.
But so when they testified, and it was Mullen, I believe, that was testifying about that he went and was it somebody in chat will correct me if it's a different law enforcement officer, but I'm almost positive it was Mullen. Mullen testified that he went and talked to Brad Weber. He called Brad Weber in August of 2024 after they'd heard about this confession, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody in chat tell me. Yeah. Tell me if I'm wrong on this. Somebody tell me. So August of 2024, they learn about these confessions, right? Because they didn't have all this information from Walla.
What happened to my sound?
I don't know. Can you not hear me?
Yeah, I wonder if is my phone gonna die?
I can hear you.
Okay. It's just like not on like speaker or something now. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so
keep talking. I'm gonna see if I might need to plug my phone in.
Okay. So Mullen says that they didn't know about this until the Walla stuff, right? And then Walla tells them once they get the permission to get all of the Walla stuff in, which was I think sometime at the beginning of the year, right? Here, hold on. So if he doesn't talk to Brad Weber, until
when you get a chance, would you
August
be able to grab my charger from upstairs? I don't
This is a screenshot. This is a screenshot from a live when Anthony Greeno still had his actual channel. I should say like his second or third channel, True Crime Investigation, the one he used to have this last year. And he had Rick's Nay on. You guys, I don't know if you guys ever watched this or not, but I do have the metadata too, just to make sure that you guys know when the screenshot is from. So Gray Hughes was in chat, and he says, well, when Brad Weber drove home that day, he was seen by Richard Allen. You will find that out someday. This screenshot was taken on March 15th of 2024. So people on social media How in the world would anybody on social media know what the confession was prior to August of 2024? I, I mean, come on, you guys. Like, that is ridiculous. Mullen doesn't even go talk to Brad Weber supposedly until August. And he says, you're going to find out that when Brad Weber drove home that day, he was seen by Richard Allen. You will find that out someday. Talk about fucking leaked information. What? Yeah, so just a little interesting side. Yeah, so apparently Gray Hughes knew before the state did. Now, how would that be possible? Hold on, I got a dog barking. Hold on, you guys. So anyway, just like I said, I think that's it's interesting when we know that Walla Walla Bang Bang was watching Gray Hughes and myself, and I've already proven that I've talked about a white van for I don't know however long. Unfortunately for me, I've talked about this case for too many years, and I can't sit here and say the first time I ever heard about a white van. I don't know the date, and I don't have all that info, but the white van is just not, it's not fucking new. But to say that Brad Weber was seen by Richard Allen when you have a Walla Walla who was accused of leaking information to social media. Yeah, so the state had no theory, so they used Gray's. That's possible too. That's possible too. I'm just saying. I think it's interesting. Let's see if we can get Julie back. Her phone was dying. Comments on Facebook mentioned the sticks, and Brad wrote F on tree in Libby's blood. Local last. 2 weeks after the murder, a profile comments on Facebook mentioned. Do you have that screenshot? For Costa? Yeah, I can send it to you if you want it. They have it. They have it. Not that it will matter because, the state has leaked information for years. This doctor has leaked information to social media podcasters since she was with Richard Allen, since before that when she was looking up information about Keegan Kline. Okay, Julie's back. Hey.
Sorry.
That's okay. Did you happen to see what I showed?
No, my phone died. That's why.
I figured as much. So in March of 2024, Gray Hughes was commenting on live chats about the fact that Brad Weber drove home that day and he was seen by Richard Allen, and that we would all find that out someday.
When did he say that?
In March of 2024.
Huh. Kind of good timing, right?
It's just quite interesting when supposedly Mullen wasn't even able to go and talk to Brad Weber until August of this year.
Sounds like a setup.
Why'd you do
I will tell you that we're gonna get to Brad Weber's little testimony here. So where were we in our little thing?
We were talking about Mullen.
Oh wait, okay. So basically, they said, why would anyone to discuss the van prior to Richard Allen confession that the van scared him? And he said, that's why we interviewed him. Was there suspicious? Okay. Oh, so Baldwin says, well, did you know also about the suspicious white van that was asked? There was somebody, a tall, thin guy, half hour from Delphi, that was asking kids at a bus stop if they wanted candy. He goes, well, I don't recall. So did you ever hear of anything like that in the course of your investigation? He's like, yeah, not about a white van or anything. Okay, so I think there was an objection. It was saying.
Hold on, we lost your
The next
sound.
witness is Brad Weber.
Okay, let's go to Brad Weber.
Okay, well, let me just tell you something. We were all standing down below on the first floor, which, you know, there's a real strategy here. I mean, so many people didn't get to go in. I mean, it was tough. It was tough. I mean,
It was flat out bullshit.
it was. Can I tell them you didn't get to go in?
Yeah.
Truth and transparency. That she didn't get to go in.
And
if five
lying.
and if five people
Hey, is that
would not
Lana?
have cut, she would have been in there.
Is that Lana?
I didn't even get rowdy. I said okay.
It's just kind of getting
didn't get rowdy?
getting bad.
Hold on, I
So
need
the
to ask
next
Lana. A
witness, okay,
question. Let me ask Lana a question.
Lana, come here,
Where is
honey,
she?
Lana.
What's up? Hi, T.
I'm having a glass of wine. It's been
Hey,
a rough day, guys.
I have a question for you. I didn't get to watch your lives yet, right? Well, I watched like 5 minutes of one where you were outside talking to Rick Snay, but I haven't got to watch all your stuff. But I was told that when Brad Weber was outside, you were like, Brad Weber, did you do it?
Yeah, I said, Brad Weber, why'd you do it? And I chased him down. I did a JLR moment. I said, Brad Weber, why'd you do it? Why'd you do it, Brad Weber?
What did he?
That's
He was headed to the bar. He was walking into
JLR
the bar.
said to Richard Allen.
I was standing.
I didn't ask about like if he did like kill the kids.
Hey,
It was more like, why'd you do it? Why'd you lie? You know?
I was standing up by the courthouse, and all of a sudden I hear this really loud, boisterous voice.
Yeah. I was like,
Brad Weber! Why'd you do it, Brad? It was sick.
He turned around though.
yeah, he turned around. He was heading into the bar though.
She got it on video.
And I wanted to buy him a beer. Like I was cool with it.
You didn't offer. You should
I
have
would have bought him a
offered.
beer. I didn't want to buy him a beer.
If he
It was-
admitted to
It
it.
was about like, hey, I think you killed the kids or whatever. I feel like he's not. He's deceiving. He's lying. So why'd you do it? Why you're lying? Why are you lying?
Why you
Why you
lying?
lying?
Like why you bailing out the state, baby? Why you bailing out the state?
But there's going to be a hint in here in this what I'm going to present,
Ooh.
which I thought, why'd she ask that? But there's a little something, I don't know what they were getting at, but I just want to.
Ooh,
We do need to talk about this.
Julie's got nuggets.
So okay, sorry.
All right, let's go to Brad
I'm having a
Weber.
glass of wine. I'm with the ladies.
do it.
I'm on.
Cheers.
Do you guys know
Cheers.
that this is my freaking vacation?
This is gonna make me so sad that I'm not there with you guys. God dang.
I wish you were there. You
I
still
know.
can come. You still can come. There's room. You know, I'm on vacation. I took an entire week off, and it's you know how hard it is.
I'm having major FOMO.
I had to ask
tomorrow.
I'm like,
I'll
what's
come get you.
FOMO?
I'll
FOMO.
drive home and get you.
Aw. Okay. So do you guys want to start with Brad Weber? The reason I was talking about the girls, remember, even if you guys think I'm talking in circles and everything, I know my husband calls me pinball, but really it's because I start here and I go ping, 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 and then I ultimately get around to that. But I gotta catch everything in between, ping, 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 and then I'm back to square one. I will get around to what I was getting at. But the reason I was talking about while we were downstairs, we didn't get to go upstairs, we didn't, people missed out, people cutting in line, was because while we were standing there, Brad Weber is coming in. And he's, little balding on top, gray hair, kind of longer. So it's kind of like going a little crazy a little bit. Has a little bit of a goatee-ish, right? A little goatee. Came in with the flannel shirt, kind of lumberjack looking, flannel shirt and a t-shirt underneath and jeans. And I don't know what kind of shoes those were, like Toms or whatever they are, shoes. And so he came in early and he went up, they said, oh, witness. And they took him up a certain stair and he went all the way up, was waiting. And so he was waiting to get in. And then, that's pretty much how he looked. Yes.
Without
And-
the hat.
And, I wanted to say hi to him because I know his lovely mother and his stepdad. And I can't say enough good things about Kay. Okay, so I don't personally know Brad very well. I've talked with him a couple times, but I love his mother. She is salt of the earth, most beautiful heart to God kind of person that I know. So anyhow, we so
All right,
he,
let's get into Brad Weber's testimony. Let's do it.
okay, so he walks in, they call him, he sits down, he's now I think Andrea thought he had like this kind of mouth, but I think it looked like he was chewing gum to me.
Okay.
I mean, with his lips closed, like that, a little bit. I did see that. I noticed that. I thought, oh, maybe he's chewing gum. So Andy Baldwin said, "Hey, the last time we talked, which was the last time he was on the stand, you were upset. You were upset." And he says, "Yeah, because you tried to tell me what I did when I got off work." Kind of said it like that. and then the more, he was a little bit like abrasive. So then Andy kind of backed in. He said, you can, well, but that's not what you told the two agents about when you got off work, the two law enforcement got, because he's like, who? He goes, well, the two law enforcement guys that you talked to, you didn't tell them that you went straight home. And he's like, well, who are these guys? He's like, okay, and so he goes, who are these? I don't even know who you're talking about. And I didn't get the names. I apologize.
It
Somebody
should
wrote,
be Agent Pohl, Pohl.
okay, because I thought it was Polk or whatever. Okay, Pohl.
Pohl, yeah.
And there was one other one.
Yeah, it's the Hammond police officer that I don't remember his name.
Oh, is that not Harshman? Or is that not?
Nope, not Harshman. Somebody on chat will remember who it is. Guti.
Guti. Okay, so I did not get that. I even put a question mark. Okay, so he showed Brad Weber his deposition that he had given to the two law enforcement officers. He goes, "You told officers that you went to various ATMs." He goes, "I don't recall that." And then Nick McClellan goes, "Objections." And then there was a sustained. And then Baldwin says, "Well, the week before February of 2017, where were you?" So February 13, 2017, where were you? Okay, now, just pay attention here. He said, "Where were you?" He goes, "Well, I didn't go anywhere the week before." He goes, I went 3 days before to Arizona to visit his folks.
Mom.
Okay, yeah. But so basically, he was going to say, "Well, I didn't go anywhere. It was 3 days." Okay, so that's kind of like where we're going to be on that level of like the answering. I don't know if you call that very specific, where he's like, "Well, I didn't go anywhere the week before. It was 3 days." Okay, so when did you get back? Well, I got back on Sunday. Okay, so the Sunday, which would be the 12th. They didn't say the 12th, but I'm just saying we for us it's the 12th. So tell the jury about your ATMs. He goes, "I have ATMs." That's it. Okay, yeah. He answered. I know. I was like, it was like people kind of even chuckled. Like, I have ATMs. So what are ATMs? Money machines. What do you do to make the money? He goes, "It's through a surcharge. They take money out, and I get the money from the surcharge." He goes, "Of course, after I pay the business, for having it there." Okay. "How many ATMs did you have at one time?" He said, "I had 30 something, but now I have like 17. And Brad says, but now I have 17. Does that help?" And Baldwin said, "Yes, it does. But looking at your deposition, what's that say that you had?" He said 35. I don't know why they said it that way. So how often in 2017 would you tend to your 35 ATMs? It's on a need as needed basis. Like if it runs out of money, or like I think he said the printer runs out, then I put money in. So he watches on a computer. He did say that. He goes, "Well, would it help to refresh your recollection?" Brad said, "Sure." So he gives him the records from the deposition. Brad said, "Oh, now I don't remember the question. What was your question?" He says, how often would you service your ATMs? I do something with them every day. Well, what kind of maintenance? Well, I sit and I look at the computer see what the money is, like where it is money wise, and then I make a decision like when I need to go fill it. Okay. So how does money get put in? He goes, I put a request in to the bank. He goes, so he has to like order the money. He goes, where do you bank? Or where do you get the money? He goes, at the bank. I mean, it was always kind of comical. It was pretty funny. And he was holding his own. He said, he goes, well, customers take money out and then I just get the surcharge from it. He goes, so what happens when the ATM runs out? He goes, well, it has a printout and it doesn't work. So he says, so what bank did you do in 2017? Regions. He goes, but I'm not sure. I think it was Regions. So you take money out of the ATM. So takes money out of the ATM and then I get the surcharge is what he said. He goes, so Baldwin said, well, I'm saying, how do you take care of that? How do you on an ongoing basis? He goes, how do you do that? He goes, take care of it, get money. He goes, I just get it from the bank. Again, he said the same thing. So what places do you have the ATMs? He's like gas stations, restaurants. I think he might have said bars. I don't know. He named a bunch of them. And he says in Indiana, he says, yes. He goes, so what would necessitate service to the ATM? Lack of money or lack of paper? Okay, do you use your van? Did you use your van? And he said, no. Did you? Then he goes, no, I don't typically use my van for that. Do you use your blue Subaru? He goes, no. He goes, no. He goes, I had a black Subaru.
Okay.
Okay, I'm telling you, the answers are very. Yeah, you
He
better be precise.
doesn't want to be there, which is obvious. Okay.
Okay, so what other banks did you use? Other banks, if it's not Regions, I'd have to call the bank and order money, but it's usually the Regions or some of the branches of that, and branches in Lafayette. Okay. Did law enforcement ask you to see your phone records to order, like when you had to order cash on February 13th, 2017? He said, I don't remember. He said, from the day in question, so then they talked about he goes, from the day in question, I went straight home. Okay. So he's kind of already saying that. He said, so you got off at 2:02 that day. He said, yeah. He goes, but normally you get off at 2:30. He said, yes, but they chose for me to leave. It wasn't my choice. It was theirs. Okay. So he said, so you ended up getting a phone call from law enforcement to talk to you. Here's another one. To come to the police station. He says, no.
Mm-hmm.
Baldwin says, no. He says, no. Not to come to the police station, but to meet him at a different location. So Baldwin had to ask, well, what did law enforcement ask you when they called you? Well, it was not to come to the police station. It was come to a different location. It's one of those.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
It's
so they
almost
asked you to meet him somewhere, dipshit. Let's move on. Like, gosh.
Okay, so who was that?
Not you. Not you.
Who was that? I don't know. Was it Holman? I don't know. Could be. I don't remember. Sometimes I get texts. I get text messages.
He gets text messages requesting for him to meet police officers.
Yeah, and they later said that they get text messages because the service isn't that great. But you already have to have a text message line communicating. Okay. So he said, so Baldwin said, is it okay for me to refresh your recollection? He goes, you're asking me if you can refresh my recollection? He goes, yeah, okay. He goes, okay, at the bottom, page 18, he said, who called to tell you to come in? He said, probably Steve. He goes, Steve Mullen? He said, well, it says probably Steve. He goes, I don't know. I don't know his last name. He goes, I don't really talk to him. He goes, so after that phone call from Steve Mullen, what did you tell Steve? He said, I dropped off a trailer, and after that, I went home. Wait. So what other vehicles? So they're right there. Okay. That says that tells you it's not a straight home thing. Okay. So what other vehicles did you drive? A Subaru. He goes, so you drove a Subaru 9 out of 10 times? He goes, yeah, more than that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just thought that was funny too. Like, how do you? Oh, it was okay.
Now
So-
Now he knows he drove that van that day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. He goes, so you told law enforcement you drove a Subaru in February 2017. If your memory is your memory better in 2017 than it is now? Well, yeah, I guess. So
He told them back in 2017 he was driving his Subaru. He dropped off a trailer during his lunch hour, and then after work he got off at 2 and went and serviced the ATM machines, and then he went home.
right there, that's a big deal.
And I'm curious, do you remember like what was it, like the first day of testimony? They called up that Catrone guy, whatever, what was his name? That one that went and drove around back there and went and talked to Brad Weber.
Yeah. I don't have my notes with me, but I know the guy. Yeah.
Did anybody ever ask him, like, did you ask Weber how long he'd been home? Like that was the
No,
night.
I doubt no, because he said he just gotta knock on the door. Hey, some girls are missing. Can we look around the area? Yeah, they didn't ask to look in the outbuildings or anything like that.
No,
Okay, so
no.
that's coming.
Somebody should be asking this Catrone guy, when you talked to Brad Weber, did you ask how long he'd been home?
Well,
I mean, this isn't done because you still have the FBI who comes in and goes and goes to their house multiple times with search warrants. I really hope the defense has all that info. Keep going. I'm sorry. I'm off on a tangent. I apologize.
no, that's actually well, I mean, it's kind of like he was saying he got home probably around 2:30. He did say that he got home around 2:30. I mean,
But
that's
not
what he's
back in
saying now.
2017, didn't? That's what he's saying now.
Yeah. No, okay, so you guys know the guy, the FBI agent that's running the election down in Texas that he talked to?
P-O-H-L. Poll.
Okay, yeah. So he can't come for medical reasons, but
Right.
I've offered to, I'm a medical professional and I can get him here and get him here safely if he needs to be. I don't know. I mean, because that testimony is this is, you could tell this was a long, direct and cross. I just felt like this is a very important thing right here. So they're like, well, we'll take that into consideration is what they appreciated it, but I feel like his testimony needs to be allowed. I mean, look, ever since COVID, they let all kinds of Zoom testimonies come in, but she's not allowing it. So the only way that she's going to allow it is if he's here in person.
Right.
And he's running this, the election commission or whatever in Texas. It's not going to be until next week. And don't forget to vote, because your vote counts. And everybody that gets elected that's doing this crap, yeah, you have power over that. So, just keep that in mind. Okay, so he said, so what? Okay, so he's, yeah, I drive my Subaru more than 9 out of 10 times. And so you told law enforcement that you drove your Subaru then. Is your memory better than 2017 than it was? He goes, yeah, I guess. He goes, so what did you do after you got home? Smoked a cigarette, relaxed, and I went to sleep. Says, so what time did you get up? He goes, about 5 p.m. because an officer was knocking on my door. Then what did you do? He goes, went back to sleep. The officer came knocking on my door telling me 2 girls were missing. We're going to be searching around the property. He just went back to sleep. Okay. So what did the officer ask you? He said, asked about the 2 girls missing in the bridge, something about the bridge. He goes, you are on the south side. Have you ever been on the north side? Here's another one. Yeah, I am right now. Think
What?
about it. Yeah, I am right now.
He's at the courthouse on the north side.
Yeah.
He said, I am right now.
Yep.
What the what?
Yeah. That was what that was. That's what that was. So I don't know. Is that somebody like that's like um I don't know. I didn't want to venture to think of
Okay,
that.
keep going. Keep going. Yeah, this is crazy.
Okay. So okay. So they says, did an officer come to your house in 2017? Yes. Okay. Yeah. And could you hear? So if you were at your house, you're at your house. Could you hear from your house on February 13th if somebody was yelling, like somebody screaming, yelling, whatever? He said, well, yeah, it depends. Like he said, yeah, if I was outside, definitely, yeah, I could. Well, who had access to your parents' property? He said, me. He goes, well, no, I mean, like, so who else had access to your parents' property? Like, who visited? He goes, you want me to sit here and list all the people that visited for a year? He's like, I can list all those people. He said, no, I mean, so, like who had access? And so they asked about did your brother, Matthew, I don't know if that came up yet. He said, so how many houses did you have? I don't know if that's the exact wording. So I apologize. I don't know that. I thought he said, how many houses do you have or something? He said, where were you? Or he said, I had a trailer that was in Rossville. And, like he was staying and taking care of the parents' property while they were in Arizona. I know that part as a
Right.
sidebar. So he said, if you are driving on that lane and you're coming on your lane and you're looking to your left, and you look down to the creek, would you be able to see anyone? He said, yeah, if I was looking, I would. Okay. So
Uh-huh.
when was the last time you saw some people down there? He goes, oh, this summer. I saw people down there. Okay. So how many outbuildings do you have? He said 5. He goes, and then how many stories do you have? Is your house? 2. He later corrected the 5 to I think he had 3, but now he's got 5 outbuildings. Okay. Did you give law enforcement permission to go into the outbuildings? He said yes. He said, yeah, they searched my house. But it wasn't on the 17th or 13th. I'm sorry. On the 13th, did you give permission to law enforcement to go to the outbuildings? No. So where did you park your vehicles? And there, he said the van was usually in the grass and the Subaru was in the driveway. Now they have a photo, state exhibit KKK of the garage. And he
Defense
said,
exhibit.
yeah. He says, can you look at this and tell us what this is? He said, yeah, that looks like my garage. I think it was like this. I'll give you the date. He said, that looks like my garage. What is the vehicle shown? Objection. Nick objected. It's a photo of February 19th, 2017. And listen, you know how like sometimes they just need to get this out. He says, in the garage, it shows on February 19th, 2017, it shows sticks on the ground in the garage.
Wait, what?
Gill admits it over the state's objection, and they give it to the jury. Then Nick said, all right now. So they go to a sidebar. I said, Nick went and did a sidebar because there was a picture of the garage, and there were, I don't know if it was inside, but it was sticks on the ground. Yeah, sticks on the ground in the garage.
Okay.
That's the first I was like, okay. And then he went back to clarify. He said, I just want to clarify to the jury that okay, we are talking about your property at Deer Creek. We're not talking about some other property you own over there in Rossville. We're talking about this is a picture of the garage of the property at Deer Creek that has those pictures. Yes. And then he said there were actually 3 of the outbuildings in 2017, but there's 5 now. So he clarified that. So then Nick McClellan crosses. He goes, there was a question about your memory in 2017. Would you agree that your memory would be better in 2017? In 2017 about all, everything that happened? He said, I don't remember what his answer was. It was kind of like, yeah, maybe, Do you recall talking to law enforcement a few days after the girls were missing? Yeah. He said, do you remember talking to Shane so-and-so, what is it, Burkhardt or something? An ISP Kubina or something like that. You guys probably know the names. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear
I
what
don't
they
know
were
who
saying.
this. I don't know this one. Keep
Okay,
going.
there was I have Ku. Looks like I have Kubina, but that's probably not right. I don't know. Kubing. I don't know. He goes, well, I don't know. I don't know what date it was. I think it was a few days after. He said, I got stopped. My car got searched, and they gave me a lie detector and all this stuff. It says in 2017, the officer asked if he could look at your property. Yes, he did. He asked to look at the outbuildings. Yes, and search the house. Yes. So after that happened, what did you talk? When did you talk to law enforcement? I thought it was like, when did you what did you talk to law enforcement? I can't read that part. Sorry. Yeah, I was like, it says February 17th of 2017, I think is when he talked to law enforcement. He goes, okay, I showed you a report from February 17th, 2017. Would it help refresh your memory or your recollection? He said, yes. He goes, okay, I remember talking to law enforcement, but I don't remember this guy. I don't remember this. I'm reading this and I remember this guy. So he says at 2:02, you got off work. You're saying at 2:30, you got home. And then you were awakened by a police officer. Yes. So when you got a phone call, when you got a phone call or a text from law enforcement, is it common for people to text you? He goes, yeah, because the phone calls drop off out there. The signal's kind of spotty or whatever. He said, did law enforcement tell you what they wanted to talk about? No, they just came and they asked questions. And then Baldwin says, well, you told the other two officers something different. He goes, yeah. So and that's, he just admitted, yeah, I did tell the other two law enforcement something different. Like, look at the things. I wish they would listen. The other things you told the two law enforcement officers were that you got home at 3:30, that you were driving your Subaru, and you didn't go right home. You dropped off a train. I mean, like, why? I wish they would like recap it for the jury, because the jury doesn't always catch this stuff. I feel like they
But
need.
Nick is asking this question. Nick is asking them.
Baldwin said you told the two other officers something different. Yeah, no, this is Baldwin saying. Baldwin, I have Baldwin here saying you told the two other officers something different. He said
Yeah.
yes. He agreed. Yeah. And then he goes, I have no further questions, Your Honor. And then they said, okay, you Nick? No, I don't. And then they said, okay, jury, do you have any questions? Okay, so questions I have is, do you know if ATMs have photo or video during service? He said, no, the ATMs don't, but the places a lot of times where they're put have that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a good question. How far in advance do you need to order cash? He goes, well, regions, this depends. I usually have to order, a week in advance if I have to actually order it. But remember, this is what I wish. Now, this is where I wish Baldwin would have stepped in. Okay, you might have to order a week in advance for a particular machine, but you could have ordered it. Is it possible you could have ordered cash a week ago? Because you knew all these other ones were getting, like, it almost makes it sound like, when, he has to order a week in advance. Well, then he wasn't going to get any money because it'd take us a week, and that was that day. They need to clarify that because he said, but you're constantly watching your ATMs on computers, you're constantly seeing that they're getting low on money and you're refreshing. So it's a continual, perpetual thing, right? So you could have ordered money already for last week for another one to go fill. That's what Baldwin should have said. I mean, like, there's a lot of things I wish they would say, like, because it needs to shore up the doubt and like not leave it open-ended for the jury. And then he says, how far, okay, it says, what is the process to clock in and out of work? He says, well, I go through a turnstile and, I badge out. And so then Nick McClellan he clarified. Nick McClellan's really good about clarifying. I have to say, he's a pretty good defense attorney, or a prosecuting attorney. Do you think?
I mean, he's okay, but
I haven't got to see him in person, but from everything I keep hearing, yeah, I would have to agree.
I mean,
for Teresa, get a drink.
Teresa, cheers. Hey,
Cheers, Teresa.
I got a Dr. Pepper. Cheers.
Wait, where's your Dockies?
It's probably taboo to have alcohol on a YouTube. Sorry,
Cheers.
I'm on vacation.
It's not.
She's
It's
on
not.
vacation.
I'm not like
Seriously.
stripping my clothes off or anything like that. Okay.
Don't tell
All right, but I want
her.
to. I want to clarify some of this with you, though. So Nick is saying he talked to 2 other officers at a different point in time.
Baldwin said you told 2 other officers something different. That's
Right.
Baldwin. And he says, yes. And they just left it. And he says, I have no further questions.
Oh my God, seriously?
Yes. Yeah. They didn't,
guess
they're
that's
not
what
going to challenge it because he did. Because it's in a deposition. Or it's in a whatever. It's something
It's in the
written
police
out there.
report. It's in Pohl's report. But when Nick was
Well,
Nick
you know
was
what?
on cross, does Nick ask him what? What does Nick do to counteract any of this then?
Well, he was. Let me see. He says so when you had a phone call or text, you know. Let me look. Okay. He said that here's his cross. He goes, well, there was a question about your memory in 2017. Would you agree that your memory would be better in 2017 about all
That's what I
this?
don't understand. Nick is saying that his memory is better back from 2017.
Yeah, but see, I get what Nick was trying to do, but it backfired on him. He's like, well, would you agree that like it was better back then? So you should have remembered by like this. It was like, no, dude, you don't get it. Like, yeah, your memory was better, but it's 2024. So now because of 2024, he's not exactly remembering the stuff back in 27. It backfired on him. It just backfired. He was trying to say.
He was trying to
He's trying to say, yeah, confused to say like, hey, well, you would have remembered 2017, right? Because your memory was good back then. So 2024, you should have that good memory still sticking in there, right? Like that. It just like it's like what you're thinking is a little bit of confusion. It's like the master of confusion.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I need clarification on this because that doesn't make sense that Nick is telling Brad Weber his memory would have been better.
Yeah, he said that. There was a question of because well, Andy said that your memory was better in 2017 because there was a question about your memory in 2017. Would you agree your memory would be better in 2017? And he's like, yeah, probably, you know. Do you recall talking to law enforcement a few days after the girls go missing? Yeah, I mean, he talked to him a lot of times, often, you know, kind of off and on. Do you remember talking to Shane and like Burkhart and ISP Kubina or something like that?
Yeah,
He was like,
this is what Nick is asking. Nick is asking him that. So who are those people and when did he talk to them?
They believe that was somewhere that I think that's in February 17th, 2017. I think
so he talked
that
he talked to Pohl and to
these other 2 officers, two separate officers.
So what did he tell Kobina?
That I think is what he told Kabina, whatever, and that other guy is that he drove his car. You know, when Andy crossed, he said, but you told those 2 other officers something different. Basically, you got home at 3:30. You drove your Subaru.
Yeah, but that's what he told Pohl. But that's what he told Pohl and Guti. I want to know what he told Kabina that Nick is talking about.
Okay, so I got stopped, searched by my car, gave a lie detector and all that stuff. 2017 officer asked if he could look at the property. Did he ask you to look at the outbuildings? Yes. And search the house? Yes. Then after that happened, when did you talk to law enforcement or ISP? He said something. Oh, he ended up talking to him again at 8 p.m. It says 8 p.m. We don't have the date. But then he says in February 17 of 2017, I showed you a report from February 2017. I think this is Andy still, refreshing here. Would it help if you refresh your recollection? Yes. I remember talking to law enforcement. Don't remember this guy. I don't remember this. I don't remember who this guy was. And it says that 2:02 you got off work, 2:30 you got home. You were awakened by a police officer when you got, and remember that police officer that drove down he testified earlier last week.
That's Catrone. Yeah.
The guy he drove by. So I want you guys to keep in mind, like, if he drove into that property When he did, yeah, he actually did. I mean, he had to, the only way he could get there is if the gate was open, right? So I think that you know, he, even though Brad was uh there at the house and he's sleeping, that gate's open. Just kind of maybe something to keep in mind.
Okay, I'm just pulled up the news articles real quick just so to see what they said about it. So Nick asked, "Is your memory better in 2017 than in 2024?" Nick asked Weber if remember talking to 2 officers. Weber said police searched his car, his house, and gave him a lie detector. McClellan asked if I would love to know what questions were on the fucking lie detector.
You're fact checking my notes.
I'm trying to figure out who these
That's
other 2
fine. I
cops
don't
are and
care.
when they talked to him. So that's I want to know that. I want to know who
Yeah.
those cops are and when they talked to him.
February. I think it's okay. So you had the guy knock on the door, but February 17th, because he did say, I think it was a few days later. Then they all start coming and talking to me. I give him, like, talking to him, giving him information. So it was 2017. So okay, so with the jury asking, how do you clock in and out? And then he said, I badge out with the turnstiles. And then Nick McClellan clarified, this is where I said, he's a good prosecuting attorney. Like he's really good at clarifying, and he's thorough. I do like that. He said, he goes, just to clarify, when leaving, when you say you badge in the turnstiles, when you badge, then it releases the turnstile to let you go through. So yeah, that's how that went. And then it said, then the juror said, "What driveway do you access your home?"
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Usually the Monon High Bridge," but then Andy says, "Well, so do you? But you do have another way that you go." Yeah, I sometimes. He said, "So you can access through another way," which is I've been that way. I was with Kay driving through that. He says, "Yeah, there is another way." But that day, he said he came under the Monon High Bridge on the February whatever 2017. So do you go home? Do you go home before servicing ATMs? That was the last question of the jurors. He goes, typically, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That was it.
I don't know. I don't know if I go home.
And
Okay,
I
so
thought it ended on a good note. That is the end of this. Like,
yeah, that's just so weird that Nick is like, your memory's better back in 2017.
that's why
And
we
he's
need to
like,
get
yeah,
Sleuthy
and
here.
that's what
It's
I told.
it's those.
That's what I told cops. I drove a Subaru, and then I
Yeah.
went.
Well, here's
What?
what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. It's always like you almost feel like they backstep it a little. It just feels like I all I can see is in my imagination when we get testimony like that or questions like that and those answers, I feel like they're backstepping it. I did hear a lot of size. Um, okay, can I tell you my observation? So early in the morning, I was sitting next to some YouTubers, and I heard sighs. I heard answering the question for the witness. Um, Things I disagreed with. I didn't participate in like offering my opinion about some of the things. It was just very interesting to hear another perspective right beside me. But I could rebut that real quick and tell them no, because I'll tell you why. Because being in the medical field, I understand all that stuff, and I did like it was during the question when they were asking, hey, so you've got all these tests. Would you say that the assessment could be subjective, and that depending on how the person looks at these tests, you could have different outcomes? And she said no. I mean, like the witness said no. The person next to me said, oh, yes, 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 yes. But I liked it because the witness then clarified, no, because look, these are standardized assessments, and that like like if you take 12 or 20 of them, you're answering them, and eventually the outcome will be the same. So the medical professional that's interpreting these is going to interpret it based upon the way that you answered. Like there's not going to be, like, you can't really have um that kind of subjective assessment. It's objective because these tests go through research, and they're approved by like whatever the board is that's facilitating this, like the psychology or whatever. We have all these standards. There's standards they have to meet, and so that's why they give so many and the different ones. It's like there's exams out there. You take a test and you'll take a test, and then you take another test, and it's like, wait, they just asked me that, but they ask in a little different way to see if you would answer it just a little bit differently, and then they compile all those together, and then it computes out to something. So it's and she did say, she goes, no one's ever like rebutted the basically what this computes out to, because these tests are meant to kind of work together, and then you compute them out to whatever the answer is, what the person gave the answer. Like, I don't know, but it was interesting to just hear others' perspectives.
Okay, so then Weber's the last witness of the day.
That's it. We landed early today. That
So
was
what
done.
happened? Were you there when they were doing the in-court argument over whether Murphy could testify?
I actually had to exit out of there because I had something that I had to take care of.
Okay.
So I didn't hear that. So if you can like enlighten me, please, I'd like
Well,
to hear it.
apparently, they said that the next witness they had ready to testify was Kevin Murphy, and Nick objected to that, and so there was an argument over whether he should be able to testify or not, whether Kevin Murphy should be able to testify or not. The judge essentially said, like, we've been over this 1,000 times, and you don't have a nexus. You don't have a nexus. And Baldwin was like, well, if Richard Allen had said, if you find my spit on one of the girls, like that would essentially be enough. And she was like, no, we've been over this 1,000 times. You do not have a nexus. And Baldwin essentially says, well, like, I disagree. I think we have enough of a nexus. So he wanted to do some.
He said
some
that
of
in
the
front of the jury, right? He said it in
No,
front of the
jury's
jury.
gone. No, jury's all gone.
Oh,
Jury's gone. Yeah.
Okay.
While they're trying to argue getting in Kevin Murphy's testimony. And so she said no. She said no, we're not doing it. And so he had a couple offer of proofs and of third-party suspects, and I don't know what ended up really happening with the end of that. But did you happen to hear like what the plan is for the next couple of days? There's been a lot of speculation that the defense is going to be resting like by Wednesday. No, I didn't. Catastrophe. No, I didn't hear that. What I heard was that she wasn't going to let Murphy testify. I don't know about the offer of proofs, just that she wasn't going to let Murphy testify.
I mean, I'd be surprised, but honestly, if they would have kind of suddenly showed up with a white van, honest to God, I almost think they could have the defense didn't even have to present their case. I mean, it kind of felt that way. Like it would have. I would say if the white van thing wasn't involved, that they could. But
Okay.
I that needs to be shored up because they introduced it, and now there's all this question, and I just wish
Do you think that it was clarified today to the jury that this? Do you think the jury walked away from today understanding that the white van has been part of social media for a long time, or do you think they walked away thinking this van is brand new information only the killer would know? Like, what's your gut feeling on that?
I think they think this van is brand new information that only the killer would know. Because I think, okay, just, you know what? I think Andy Baldwin probably made a mistake here by saying that, there was no talk of social media about the van, There actually was.
He said there
like,
was. I thought he said there was talk on social media about it. Like that's how he got it. That's how he got him to say that Mullen could have. Like, do you know if Wallow told him about this van since it's been on social media? Like, it's been on Reddit. It's been on.
The way I got it was like, hey, there wasn't any talk about it, and then all of a sudden this van poof shows up while it gets. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe that. Well, I hope that that's the case because I was taking it.
Let me look at the notes over here real quick and just see what they had to say.
Because I was taking it that there, there was no talk about this on social media. Then it shows up. That was under
I thought it was
Mullen.
that there was talk about it. So Mullen, let me go to Mullen. Was the man with the? Oh, that's Hicks. Okay, hold on.
I'm going to go
Mullen
Mullen
created a log of
too.
missing. This article doesn't even bring that up, so that's stupid. Okay, hold on. Let me go to this article real quick. Yeah, I thought the whole point was that there was so Baldwin asked Mullen logged the missing info. Mullen review testimony. Court did not just log testimony.
I mean, I know that Baldwin was stating that it'd be important to know that Walla had information about this van and basically fed it to Richard Allen.
Right. Baldwin asked if there were Reddit sites or Instagram posts about a white van. Baldwin said Dr. Wallace said she frequently checked online sites and there were dozens of sites that mention a white van. There were dozens of sites that mention a white van. Baldwin asked Mullen if Mullen knew what Wallace said or told Richard Allen about a van. Mullen said no. Prosecutor Nick McClellan started his cross-examination, asked Mullen if Allen's admission to Wallace was the first time the state heard about a van.
You know what? I think he said, did you hear that Trooper Harshman, did you hear Trooper Harshman say that there was no social media about Instagram, Reddit, and he was like, I don't know. I thought, but I do want that clarified because I wrote, because, you heard State Trooper Harshman when he testified about the van.
If he was in the courtroom, Harshman during Allen's interview, Mullen said yes. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
That's got to be a typo. Yeah, let me check out Max real quick, and then
no social media, Instagram, Reddit. They said there was no van ever talked about.
Who says that though? Because that's what I'm so curious.
Baldwin.
I don't understand.
Baldwin was saying that, and then basically all of a sudden, Dr. Walla, she went to all these social media sites, was looking into this, talking to a lot of people, but she got into the IDOC records and all this stuff, and then basically she said it would be important whether to know that Dr. Walla knew that information.
He had to have said something about the white van, because one of the next questions is, did you ever hear about a white van that was trying to pick up girls with candy? So he's talking about that's from social media. So it has to be social media.
Yeah, it was like he was talking about social media. That's what they were talking about. Like about social media.
Impeached. I got you, Luke. I got you. Yeah, he impeached her. He impeached him with that. Okay.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. It's kind of they need to make this a little more clear, because sometimes this is a little confusing for us that are here. And I just want to caution people that make sure you get as many facts as you can. Don't listen to an hour or two of opinions. I don't want to give just my opinion. I just want to tell you what was said in court. And
we love you being here. I am so appreciative of you being here. Even though I wish I was with you. I really do.
We wish you were here.
So frustrating.
We have until we have the rest of the week, and maybe.
So the rumor mill is that the defense is going to be resting like Wednesday. I don't know. I don't know what they have left to do. I don't know if they're going to bring on KK, if they're going to bring on Chadwell. I mean, are we getting any news about these people coming in to testify? I still think they have.
I don't know if these. Hey guys, what's the rumors out at what's tomorrow? Do you guys know, ladies? Are you talking to us? Yeah, I'm talking to you guys. They're all trying to be quiet. I'm like,
We got people that cut in front of us, so us amazing note takers couldn't go.
I know, but did you hear any rumors? Did you hear?
No, I'm just wondering if you guys know anything about who's going to be testifying tomorrow. Did that come up at all?
Do you think
I haven't? Who was it that was maybe going to testify? I think, well, Kathy, oh, by the way, Kathy Allen was there today, but she wasn't in the courtroom. She sat out there with
But do you think that's because she might
is it
be
lead
called?
for love, or wait, love, what's the other way, is lead for love?
Lead with love.
Lead
Lead
with
with
love,
love.
lead with love. Yeah, really, really nice lady, giving her a lot of support. And yeah, so she was here today. I gave her a hug. She's always accepting hugs
You
and
can get
prayers.
hugs for free.
I know
Hugs.
Kathy didn't. Kathy didn't want to be in the courtroom when they were playing those videos of him
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah, I knew that that was the case. So she wanted to be there in support. I have to say, I really appreciated Richard Allen's sister and his daughter being there and testifying on the stand. There was a prolonged sidebar about the pictures of her dad, and she just kind of sat there. She kind of didn't know what to do with herself. So she's like, and at one point she looked at me, and I just tried to smile. I really wanted to go, like, you're doing good, but I don't want anybody else looking at me going like that. So I just, like, I just tried to give her a smile and kind of a nod, like, hey, you're okay, you're doing
Yeah.
well. Because I could tell she was kind of like, it's weird, she's beyond the stand, and that, like, this stuff is going for 5 minutes, and there's nothing going on, and she's like waiting and waiting. So I don't know. It was good to hear that, because I had heard so many rumors. People, oh, well, I got him. He molested his daughter. Oh, his daughter doesn't even show up in court because they don't even like each other. Oh, he did these things. Then you hear, like,
Right.
his confessions and all that. So this should just, like, dispel the rumors. They have video of everything that happened. I'm like, hopefully this clears things up.
I don't.
I,
I just. Don't,
I know.
I just don't know what that jury's sitting there thinking. I mean, it could go. It could go so many ways. This could go so many ways.
Well, I only see, like, just a couple little maybe hurdles, but I don't think they're that big of hurdles. I think overall, I'm hoping that juror 12 or 6 will be the foreman. How do they choose that, by the
I
way?
don't
Do
know
they
how they do it in Indiana. I don't know how they do it there.
Does anybody know? I mean, I'd like to know, like, if I've never been on a jury. Um, I've never been part of this whole thing. But I would like to know, because I think the real strong people are juror number, I'd say juror number 6 and juror number 12. I feel like just watching them take notes. I think juror number 12 is really, he's probably the strongest, like, mentally. He gets it, takes notes. He's very, like, and when they say, do you have any notes? Like, he hands it out. He stood a lot today. He was really looking at all us. I mean, like, I had eye contact with him several times. I mean, I don't know what to do. Should I do this? you know,
No, I mean, what do
I
you
mean,
know?
he's just, like, sitting there, he's staring, he's looking, and he'll look at you for, like, 3 or 4 seconds. Then I'll go back on to the next one. He really, and he kind of leans in. He's leaning at the side of the jury box, and he's just, like, leaning. He's really looking at everybody, and, like, sometimes even when there's testimony, he's paying attention to how people out there are responding too. He just seems like he's got a really sound mind, and I do like juror number 6. Those two would be, I'm gonna say, my top picks, and then after that, I would say juror number 10. The guy with the really dark hair.
Okay.
Yeah, he was really leaning in, but I feel like solid sound dudes. I'd like to see 12, the foreman. Be fine if this number 6 was. Do we ever find out what number is foreman later?
No, so sometimes the foreman's already picked. I have not heard anybody from court say that the foreman has already been picked here. Sometimes the judge will pick it, and sometimes they let the jury go, pick who you want to be your foreman. So I don't know if there's any state law or if there's just, like, a jurisdictional law that where Judge Gold will have the ultimate say so of how that happens. I honestly have no idea. There's
may
other
not
people who think
matter.
this one has already been picked and that we just don't know it, but I don't know. I wasn't there for any of the days, so I can't say by jury selection time if that was even talked about. I've not seen any articles talking about it.
Well, it may not matter if Gold picks and she picks somebody kind of. Do you think she might know somebody that might be? Lord have mercy. I hope she doesn't pick the person. Okay. I guess I don't. Maybe we could do this. Tell us the duties of a foreman, because if you've got 10 jurors that are in agreement, and these two, the one happens to be a foreman, are they going to say, "Oh nope, I'm going to strong arm you, and I'm not going to let this go through until I convince you"? They vote amongst themselves who would be foreman. Oh really? Okay.
Yeah, a couple
That would
people said that. So, well, I mean,
that
we'll
would
see.
be
I
really
guess.
good. I actually think that would be very good, because I noticed juror number 1 was looking over to juror number 6 at times, looking at him. I did this is kind of one of the ones I would pick. I noticed number 6 was being looked at, and but I do think number 12 seems to be really a strong dude. So somebody
I
says,
guess.
"Hey everyone, hey everybody," and yeah, now we're ready to end, right? Or I'm gonna get off here. I have
Yeah,
not
no, I'm
eaten
done.
any.
Yeah, no, I'm done. I thank you for
I haven't
coming
eaten
on and
anything
going.
all day, and I've had a glass
Oh,
of wine. If that tells you anything, almost half a glass of wine.
all right. So I guess we're gonna see what happens about you guys getting into the courtroom tomorrow. I hope that
You
you guys have better
guys,
luck than you had today.
it's disheartening. I mean, because there are people there that I don't know. I don't want to make a judgment about that. I just feel we've been in this from it. We have a personal investment. We're from Indiana. This is my Carroll County, my where I grew up. Not that I think I have anything better than anybody else, but when you've been in this from the beginning and you've gone through the trenches, and then these people show up that might have known about the case for a couple of years, and it's all there's other altruistic reasons, if you will. I call it altruistic, and I use that very loosely. um I it's hard, because people like that are cutting in line. They're cutting in line. They don't think anything of it. Well, I got 2 assistants. I got one person with me. Oh well, so and so was with me. So and so's with me, and I won't, as a person of that I hold people to the same standard that I'm going to be, and I'm not going to cut in line. But you guys cut in line, okay? I'll say something about it. I'll maybe ask you about it, but you know, I I'll rearrange my strategy. I don't get even. I work smarter behind the scenes on that kind of
That's
thing. It's
right.
I don't do revenge, get even, anything like that. I'm let me reassess how I need to work this to my advantage. So you just got to use your mind and not your emotions.
That's right. So hopefully you guys, most of you guys will get seats tomorrow. That's my hope for you. But
I hope
once again,
we
thank
we
you.
already got a strategy going down. We got whatever we got to do. This is competition, so we're gonna do it. So thank you
All right,
guys.
you
I'm gonna get
guys,
off here. You can go
all of
all
you guys,
night, but
go have a drink
thank
for me. I
thank you.
I
We
miss
will.
you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Thank
See
you.
you
I'll talk
guys.
to you
Bye bye.
tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye bye.
All right, everybody. This live is going to wrap up. It's going to portal you over to Andrea's. I know Bob had gone live quite earlier, so he's probably maybe towards the tail end of his. I think Andrea is probably about an hour into hers. So I'll portal you guys straight over to Andrea's live. Thank you guys for being here. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have Julie be able to come back, and the rest of them will have been able to make it into the courtroom. But at least we know that we have one from that crew that is in getting notes, which is good. So we'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to try to do an early one, but if Julie is getting in the courtroom, I'm almost wondering if we should come back and do an afternoon one. I don't know. My plan was to do the morning one. Maybe we'll do a short morning one, and then we'll do, I don't know. We'll see how. I'm going to play it by ear. So I know I said at the beginning of the live that I was going to do one in the morning, but right now I'm going to play it by ear and maybe do one in the morning or one in the afternoon or both. So either way, I'm going to see you guys tomorrow. And thank you guys for being here. I know that you have 1,000 other places that you could spend your time, and you choose to hang out here with me. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate that. And thanks to Julie for coming on and giving us all the notes from the day. So let's go see what the YouTube streets have to say. I'll see you out there.
Do you dare to follow me down? Head into the unknown, down the rabbit hole, where it stops no one knows.